just weren't good, and it starts good enough at all today. I mean, obviously we won, but it sure doesn't feel like it. Just not good football. It starts with me. This is a mental game, and this has been a very mentally challenging and draining week. But at the end of the day, we need to step on the football field and play good football when it's time.
And that was from the winner. You wanted Wednesday afternoon NFL football. Oh, you got Wednesday afternoon NFL football. You got what you wanted. 19-14. Steelers beat the Ravens. The Ravens had 219 yards of total offense. They passed in an NFL game for 90 yards. Trace McSorley was their leading passer, 2 for 6 for 77. You got some Robert Griffin third. You wanted Wednesday afternoon football? Oh, yeah, buddy. You got it. You want award-winning radio? Yeah, buddy. You got it right here. It's the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal. Jeff Siembieda, JJ Buck. Micah produces for us back on the radio side. It looks like Jay Pohl and Josh on the TV side. We're on ProView Networks. You can watch us on our Facebook page, the OD and the AM, and, of course, on ProViewNetworks.com. JJ, you wanted Wednesday afternoon football. They didn't want it. They obviously didn't play well, but you got it. Do you want any more of it?
That game was exactly what I expected. It was ugly. It was sloppy. While Baltimore didn't do much offensively, they found a way to stay in that game, getting off the field enough. Pittsburgh, without James Conner, really couldn't run the football. A lot of Big Ben, couple drops, which kept Baltimore in the game, which allowed them to have that big play to Hollywood Brown late to make it just a little bit interesting. But they got some tough first downs in the fourth quarter. We got to play this game. There's no other time to play it. Let's go. Let's get through it, and let's move on.
So, yesterday when I told you it feels like that week between Christmas and New Year's where you're getting bowl games on, Tuesday, Wednesday afternoons, right? Like that, honestly, that's what it felt like. It was the first NFL game that I can remember that I couldn't get into now, and I was busy. So I'm working. I was out on an appointment, came back. I got stuff going, and the game was on like a bowl game between UAB and Navy or something, right? But I just that's what it felt like to me. But it was big for the Ravens and the Steelers because the Ravens are now 6-5 and another notch back in the AFC where they're not in the playoffs as of now. The Steelers got another win and they're 11-0 as they move towards their run now at an undefeated season. And with 5 left, I mean, I'm not telling you this is an easy run, and there's not obstacles. And I watch every single week teams and games happen that I don't understand. They still have to play the Bills. They still have the Colts. I think that game at the Browns, the last game of the season, is going to be a tough one for them because the Browns are playing a lot better. Even Washington this week. I'm not telling you it's easy, and I don't think they're going to go undefeated. But that's certainly something that's feasible.
It is, and just looking at the schedule, Buffalo and Indianapolis, it jumps out. Those are 2 games you look at and say, yeah, these are going to be the toughest. But this is a week-to-week league. And what you saw yesterday, from Pittsburgh was a good football team finding a way. It's not always going to look pretty. You're not always going to play your best game, but you find a way to get by to the next week. And that's exactly what Pittsburgh did yesterday. I'm with you. I think this game against the football team is very intriguing, especially everything that Pittsburgh just went through. Are they back on track now that they finally got Baltimore out of the way and they're not at this point in time worrying about, is it going to get pushed back a day? Are we even going to play this game? What's going on? And now they can turn their focus to this is when we're playing Washington and assume the game is going to happen on time. And also that final game against Cleveland, it changes. If they go in 15-0, it's a different game. If they lose 1 or 2 of these games down the stretch, they're still going to be, in control. So where does that put them versus Kansas City? So they are going to keep playing until the very end, not just to potentially go undefeated, but to stay a step ahead at Kansas City, especially in this season where only one team heading into the playoffs gets a bye and it's the top seed.
Yeah, I think all that's right. 246-0610. We got a lot to do today. Breaking news this morning: Anthony Davis, free agent, has reportedly agreed to a deal. We'll tell you where that is and with whom. LeBron got paid again. We got a ton to do. Numbers to get in: 246-0610, 888-922-0610. Emails: Jeff@610knml.com, JJ@610knml.com. On the Twitter, it's _JJ Buck, and on the Facebook, the OD and the AM. Jerry Palm due to be with us at 8:30 this morning, and we'll talk college football with him. Michael, who'd you tell me was on the line? We'll get started with the phones. James, get us started. You're up on the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. Good morning, James.
Hey, Jeff, how you been?
Good. How you doing?
Bradley. I had to hear about Calvin's death on Channel 4 last night because I don't have 2 and 13. No, he was with me a couple years and was a roommate and a good friend of mine since I was 15. So have you been, you helped me out with some tickets, and I'm going through a travesty of my own being in a wheelchair, but hearing about Calvin really hit me pretty hard.
Kelvin was special, James, and you knew him really, really well, and I hope you're doing well. It's good to hear your voice. Kelvin was, we talked a lot about Kelvin Scarborough yesterday, and the stories that came in. I think people really got a feel about Kelvin. He was just different. There was something different about Kelvin, and he fell in love with this community. And Kelvin had some hard times now too, man. He fell on hard times and rose above it. But really, James, you attest to this. I saw on Twitter somewhere, somebody wrote that Kelvin cared about others more than he cared about himself. And of all the quotes I saw, I thought, man, that might be the most telling of Kelvin Scarborough.
Well, that's true. I talked to one of his kids that we coached in the 90s, and kid changed his life away. His name's John Stephen Holloway. And he took these kids from... It's hard for me to have a gang life, and today really sucks. Really sucks.
No, James, I know. I'll catch up with you off air, but be well. And I appreciate the call. I know what.
I'm learning how to walk again. I'm standing up, so more than I was doing in July. I had spinal surgery and wasn't walking at all.
I didn't know that.
I'll be walking, but I just talked to Kelvin a week ago, and I didn't get to see him, but God bless to him.
All right. I'll take care of you. I didn't know that. It's good to hear your voice. Be strong. Be strong, James. It's good to hear you. All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
I'm just telling you, JJ, this is I cry, right? Like, I'm not a guy, real men don't cry. I'm not that guy. But I have had more friends over the last week since Nick died on Friday and then Kelvin on Tuesday. Conversations were with people crying, not just on the radio, but personal, that I've had in a long time, and certainly that's what this year has been. These were two men, and I'm not just telling you these were the only two, but these were two men who touched so many lives. Kelvin bisected communities. There were no barriers on Kelvin. There was no socioeconomic group that Kelvin did or did not touch more than the other. It was amazing the impact that Kelvin had, and James Bradley has been around this community for a long time, and he knows, and you could hear the emotion right there. I can't tell you how much of that I've listened to and talked with over the last few days.
Yeah, and just hearing the words of the man he was, how many people he helped, were friends with, acquaintances, connected with it in the community. It says everything you need to know if you didn't know him, other than say, oh, he was a really good Louisville basketball player. You realize that his impact in this community was basketball brought him here, but he was so much more than that, to be a part of this city, to be a part of this state. For as long as he was.
You hear all the time, you've got these opportunities when you're a Louisville basketball player, when you're a person in the community, when you're a quote-unquote celebrity, whatever that means. It opens doors, right? And I think the majority of Louisville basketball players, and certainly the really good ones, and Kelvin was a really good one, have that opportunity. And then what do you do with it? People tell you all the time, you're going to get opportunities, so what are you going to do with the opportunities? And Kelvin just use that opportunity to help people and go out and make this place better. And it's so cliche, and we all want to make a difference and make the place better. That's what Kelvin did, man. That's what Kelvin Scarborough did, and with everyone he touched, there was just this light about him, that big bright smile, that the way he spoke, the way he cared, the way he went out of his way, and obviously it hit James. We can have that conversation. We're open for you on Kelvin Scarborough, certainly at 505-246-0610. We'll get to the phones. We've got 2 lines open at 246-0610 when we come back. Anthony Davis has agreed to his free agent deal. It's a big one, as you would expect it would be. With whom? Next on the opening drive on ProView Networks at 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
You've seen Rich Eisen on TV.
Played over to Madrid, plays it across the box off the dasher. It's settled. Shot up by Garcia. Trickles in. Goal.
Chavez blocked at the rim. And here's Dorian Lewis to Watson.
Shot on and just wide. Big deflection. Goal.
With his first field goal. Look at that. That's gorgeous.
Not a game you can go have 25 turnovers in and win.
Get that out of here, Watson says. Here comes Hodnett all the way. He's blocked in return. Dickey, did he get it off? He did, and he hit it. They're really... Oliveras. Wild 3, and it hit.
Another steal nearly by Hidon. It is a steal. Avalos ahead to Hidon. The two-hand hammer by Hidon. I knew he was going to put that one down.
ProView Networks tonight.
District mashup there.
Davidson took it away in transition. Might be time for a jam.
Oh! Big Barton, watch him, coach. Watch the inbounder.
Dumas Sanchez in the corner.
Back to Barton with 2.4 seconds left. Fires for the win.
And he got it!
And it's good.
Oh my God!
On the last second shot.
He did! Oh my God!
Bakes it in from 25 feet and watch the celebration right in front of us. What a shot by Barton. He was double teamed and some way.
The basketball season ended. Anthony Davis opted out of his option year with the Los Angeles Lakers. Laker fan, I think without knowing, said, oh no, we gave up so much. Anthony Davis is finalizing now a 5-year, JJ, max deal, $190 million deal. 5 years, $190 million to stay with the Lakers. That's according to Clutch Sports and ESPN. So it's an early termination option prior to the 5th year of the deal, and it could be signed as soon as today. LeBron signed an extension, JJ, yesterday, 2 years, $85 million. Lakers were just handing out candy yesterday.
Yeah, and there was zero surprise in all of this. Right. It was just about timing, getting deals done. Anthony Davis was never leaving the Los Angeles Lakers. You think you saw once they finalized LeBron James' extension, then they were able to cross the T's, dot the I's with Anthony Davis and move forward. And a lot of it, too, was just getting through some of the earlier stuff, Dennis Schroeder addition, looking at, all right, what other spots are they on the roster? I still don't understand Marc Gasol. I think that's one of the ones. Did they owe Powell a favor? It's
take care of my little brother.
Yeah, it's because I think time has really passed Marc Gasol by in this league. But still, when you got Anthony Davis, LeBron James locked in, we saw LeBron in the postseason. It's crazy. The dude's going to be 36 years old, and you have not seen a decline yet. Lakers feeling good was the plan all along. Now just everything's finalized.
All right, average is $38 million per year. To the phones, Tommy, good morning. You are on the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. Good morning, Tommy.
Hey, guys. Tommy the Truth back at you. I want to get your opinion about a player next year that's on a team that really hasn't done very much. I've been thinking about it myself. What are they going to do with Matt Stafford in Detroit? Because he's owed $35 million next year. If they cut him, I believe they save $10 million. So it'll be a $25 million hit. This guy, to me, in 12 years, hasn't raised his team. He's never raised his team to an elite level. I don't believe he's won a playoff game, if I'm correct, too.
You're correct.
If you were Detroit, would you cut him, let him go to another team, maybe get resurrected, and just start over? And
so what are you starting with? Yeah, what are you starting with? Yeah, Tommy, here's the issue. What are you starting with? You don't have a pick high enough to go get one of those guys. You're starting with Sam Darnold. Are you starting with, I mean, with whom are you restarting? And you got to evaluate, is it him or is it everything around him? And I think at this point, after 12 years or whatever it's been, you got to say, all right, maybe it's him. I think Matt Stafford's a good quarterback, but he's not a winning quarterback, or at least he hasn't been in the NFL. I think that's a real dilemma. JJ, where do you go? Because his point is right. You eat a ton of cap money if you cut him. Are you starting with where are you going? And it's going to be up to the new coach and general manager.
Yeah, the start over year would have been last year, but they were so still all in with Matt Patricia. It was they felt they were finally taking the steps to win. And Matt Stafford is Matt Ryan is kind of the trajectory that Carson Wentz.
Matt Ryan went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but I'm talking about now. Like,
yeah.
How's that team looking? It's not about what you did for me. It's about what you can do. And it's the money left on the contract. And you're in that position where, well, we don't have, say, a top 2 pick to go get the franchise guy. We can't trade him for fair value because no one's just going to jump at taking on that contract at this moment in time. So you're stuck a rock hard place. I think you see, like Matt Ryan in Atlanta, Matt Stafford is going to be the quarterback of the Lions next season.
Yeah, and I think that's where they go too. Tommy, what would you do?
He's never raised that team in 12 years. I think they need to look at who is out there. I know the draft pick, maybe they can possibly trade up, but I just see a guy that his body of work, he's never raised the team. That's what I see. Yeah, Ryan's been to a Super Bowl. They blew that lead. You're going to save $10 million if you cut him. It's $25 million to $35. So I don't know. I think they need to see who's out there and if they could possibly maybe move up in the draft, if they can trade up. And I just think you kind of let him go. He's a good quarterback, but he's not going to get you a playoff. He hasn't got a playoff win either, I don't believe, correct?
Yeah, that's right. But see, the top two teams who are going to be in the draft, the Jets and the Jaguars, both want those top 2 quarterbacks, right? They both need quarterbacks, so I don't know if they're going to be in the trade market and help you out there. Who's going to be around? Who's available? There'll be a Jameis Winston, be a Cam Newton. I do believe Sam Darnold will be on the market. Marcus Mariota's on the market. Where are you going? right? I mean, what are you starting with? I mean, it's one thing, and this is what we say about coaches. It's one thing to get rid of your coach, but you have a plan. Who's coming in to make it better? It's one thing to get rid of your quarterback, but who's coming in to make you better? And that's why I think he's there for another year.
Okay, guys. Cool. Thank you.
All right, Tommy. Thanks. Yeah, JJ, that's a good question, and it's a real dilemma there, because that's fine if you want to restart, but what are you restarting with? Or are you just taking a gap here? Are you going like Gardner Minshew and Jake Luton and whatever they're doing in Jacksonville until they can get their guy that they think that they're going to commit to for 3-4 years? It's you're just quitting for a year, and it's hard to sell people on that.
It is, and with Stafford, he's like, this is what, like, I kind of feel like Carson Wentz, like the trajectory he's on. Like, there's enough talent. Like, we believe these guys are talented, but it's always going to be, well, there's no one else is on that team. It's never been good, and we've seen Matt Patricia, that era did not work out, so that did play a role in where Stafford is right now with that franchise. But this is one that's the only other option, really, is just to eat money, sign a veteran guy that doesn't allow you to get through it, be a bad football team, and all right, see what you have going forward, which teams really don't do that other than Jacksonville. When you have kind of this veteran quarterback that's good but not great, Philip Rivers, the Chargers were able to move on because they had a top 10 pick, and they knew, all right, Tua, Herbert, probably going to end up with one of these guys, and that's where we're going. And right now, the Lions aren't. I think they're kind of like on the edge of like being a top 10 team. So it's Trey Lance, the guy that you like enough, the North Dakota State quarterback, because we know for sure right now it's Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. So who's going to pop as maybe that third or fourth guy in the draft this year?
Yeah, and by the way, third and fourth guy has been pretty good, from Ben Roethlisberger down to Justin Herbert. I mean, there's been pretty good guys over the years. Lenny, good morning. You're on the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. Hello, Lenny.
Good morning. How you guys doing?
Good. How you living?
So the JV football game yesterday, you got to feel bad for Pittsburgh losing Bud Dupree now.
That hurts. It may be an ACL, they say.
Right. So you lose Bush. You got around that, but to lose a player like this late in the season, I mean, the NFL shouldn't even played the game. No practice, and you just throw him out on the field. I don't know what was worse, watching this or having Denver play with no quarterbacks.
Denver play with no quarterbacks.
But, I mean, the NFL is just sticking it to teams.
Yes.
And I understand they have to finish the season because they don't want to extend it, but then you get into the situation like yesterday when you don't practice. So we'll just see moving forward how Pittsburgh recovers. Now, with the Davis contract, does he have an opt-out after 3 years? Because I thought if he plays 2 more seasons, he's a 10-year vet, and then he could sign for 35% of the salary cap.
I don't know that it's a done deal yet. I see a cancellation clause after 4 years. I don't see an opt-out after 3. JJ, did you see that anywhere? Yeah, I think it's at least 4 solid. Which, by the way, at 27 years old, they get him in his prime.
Trading of Wall for Westbrook.
Yeah, how big is that?
I think that right now, Washington comes out on top because we don't know what Wall's going to be like after being out 2 seasons.
Yeah, I agree with that. You know what I think of Russ? I think he's terrific, and I still think he's got a few years left. I don't know that I think either one of those teams is contending as made. Now, JJ, help me on Wall. The pairing with Harden, is that better than Russ in Houston? Does that work better in Houston, assuming Harden's going to stay there?
Well, I think what you need to look at is John Wall hasn't played in 2 years coming off this injury, and Houston was that willing to make that move to get rid of Russell Westbrook after just 1 season. So to me, that's just telling about how fast that went south. And John Wall can absolutely fit in. He's playing with Bradley Beal, who's a standout shooter, doesn't necessarily play as much ISO ball as James Harden. But I think both these players now have something to prove in their new situations. And I'm still in on John Wall. I think this year you got to have a little hesitation. You guys coming back off a major injury usually takes them 1 year to get fully healthy. But I think the move really says more about Russ.
Houston's taking 2 chances because now they got DeMarcus Cousins back, who is Wall's college teammate.
Yeah.
So you could potentially have 2 starters coming back, being out 2 years. Now, the flip side is if they're both healthy, Houston could have a pretty good team if DeMarcus Cousins can play center and they slide Christian Wood over to the power forward.
It's a lot of ifs, man. That's a lot of ifs.
But on the other side, Russell Westbrook, he just wants to play. He's going back to Scott Brooks, where he had some of his best seasons with, and he just wants to play. So now he has someone to feed the ball to, shoot, run the team, and he has some good young players on the team with Hachimura, Thomas Bryant, the number 8 pick in this year's draft. I mean, they're not going to go far in the playoffs, but he's going to be more comfortable in that setting than playing with Harden.
Yeah, I agree. I think everybody involved there probably needed a new place to be and a fresh start. I don't know that it makes either team a contender. It's going to be interesting to see Russ.
Trading dollar for dollar, the contracts matched up almost exactly.
Yeah. So, all right, man.
All right. Good guys talking.
Thanks, Lenny.
You guys have a good one.
It's good to hear you. JJ, that's the amount of money that shifted here. I mean, the $40 million contract, what is it, 40? They each owed 43 plus or whatever per year left on their deal. It's ridiculous amounts of money. I don't know. I feel that Washington got the better end because they know what they're getting. To your point on the James Wall thing, how's he going to, or the John Wall thing, how's he going to come back? Does he pair better with Harden? Probably, because obviously it wasn't working.
Yeah, and I think it just says it's everything about Houston, man. It was a complete restart. They fired their coach, general manager, stepped down. James Harden was uncertain, and you can be really good friends, but when it comes to playing on a basketball team, fitting your roles, it doesn't always work. And we saw that with Russell Westbrook and James Harden. And Westbrook is interesting because you like his attitude, you like his effort, just the mentality on the basketball court. But, he's a guy, and I was thinking about this yesterday. I thought it was so funny. People watch Ben Simmons, and they're like, he has to shoot the basketball. This team's not going to go anywhere if he doesn't shoot the basketball. He doesn't want to. He's not good at it. And yet, you have Russell Westbrook where you need him to stop shooting the basketball and be more of that Ben Simmons role and be okay with attacking and creating off the dribble. And if Russell Westbrook has a mentality where, all right, he'll take some mid-range jumpers, but he's gonna attack. He's gonna be a menace on the boards, a menace defensively. It can work, but we haven't seen it yet. That was the formula that should have happened with James Harden. Now, Bradley Beal, who I think is going to help, is a better off-the-ball player than James Harden. Catch and shoot, coming off screens, playing without the basketball. So I think that matchup is going to work. And the thing with John Wall, when he's healthy, he is a better shooter than Russell Westbrook. So some of those moments where maybe Wall is off the ball, I think the fits are a little bit better. And to your point, going back to Scott Brooks in Washington, it made sense for Houston to take this chance. And speaking of DeMarcus Cousins, he's a bench player now. He's at this point in his career, the injuries that he has suffered, if you can just get anything out of him, it is a bonus at this point in time.
It could be, yes, with all the injuries. And now, how old is he? Is he young 30s? He still should have time left, but the injuries have really taken its toll. All right, 246-0610, NBA super active. They also got a decent number of positive tests upon reentry as they start getting into training camp. Warriors aren't going. We'll get into that a little bit. Global football at Wyoming this weekend, and one more bowl, another Pac-12 bowl, said yesterday that they're not playing. The Pac-12 lost 2 bowl games in the last few days. It's the opening drive. Jerry Palm will be with us at 8:30 from CBS Sports. You're listening to 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Worried about keeping your staff?
The New Mexico High School Coaches Association, established in 1941, is an organization of New Mexico's best and most professional interscholastic coaches. Coaches across work daily to help our student athletes excel in the classroom, on the field of play, and in our communities. Students that participate in interscholastic activities attain higher grades, higher graduation rates, and higher wages. Responsible for the North-South All-Star Games, statewide Coaches Award Program, and providing multiple professional development opportunities for New Mexico's coaches. Be a great coach by coaching beyond the game. Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rollins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
Creates space. He gives it off to Rivas for the three, and he buries it.
They'll be coming in soon. Double pick set for Avalos. Goes to the right. Avalos puts it up high. Window. Scores it as foul.
Right here by Lewis all the way, coast to coast, and finish.
What a
around the screen against White. Step back, it's blocked. JB with the block.
in transition. Ahead to hit on. Hit on for the two-hand hammer.
Just to go. They've got a shot. They have a chance, and it's put up, and it's good. What a three that is by Jalen.
Hidon puts it up.
Rebound Cowboys. Right side David Hall. Thank you very much. Here come the Cowboys. Domina Lovato lays it up. Missed it. Hey, how about it? Thank you, Lusses. Thank you very much, Raquan Mitchell. Clock at 6. They get it. Barnes Tompkins fires. Yes! Pass up court. This for the win. Blocked by DJ Bustos. Cowboys win. Cowboys win.
Second field goal, he's got 4 points. Watson, though, goes all the way.
Hit the deck, I should say. Cordova tried to throw it off Romero. A three for...
Set out to Jutapia. Nice move behind his back. It's a good...
Here's Ramos, step back, high arcing,
Well, he needed to get his legs back under him.
Ooh, little kick.
Last night, I told you look out for San Francisco, and evidently Steve Alford and his team didn't listen. The Dons ran Nevada out of their own gym yesterday. 85-60. San Francisco beat Nevada in Reno yesterday. This is that San Francisco team that beat Virginia. The West Coast Conference, again, isn't all about Gonzaga, although they're quite a bit about Gonzaga. Khalil Shabazz had 22 for the Dons, who were 3-2. The Wolfpack lose their first game. But JJ, just watch, keep an eye on San Francisco this year. I think that's a tournament team, and obviously making some noise, and went into Reno and just ran the Wolfpack out of Lawler.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be intriguing when he gets to that point in time. What the resume is going to look like. San Francisco 3-2 on the season, but ran them out the built. And you're right on that. That's a good basketball team, and you saw it. And Nevada still a ways to go this season. You're losing the talent that they had last year, and it was one for the Mountain West. Just a reminder, man, it's going to be a tough season, and a lot of these teams that thought were going to be really good are kind of missing out on some chances or slipping up. And then you move down the list and you look at UNLV, and they're 0-4 in the season, but it's because they just played North Carolina, Alabama, and Davidson, and weren't able to get one there. And now they're chasing a whole heck of a lot when it comes to conference play in a few weeks.
Davidson beat UNLV in the Camping World Maui Invitational, 77-73. As much flack as we're getting for moving the New Mexico Bowl to Frisco, do you know where the Maui Invitational was played? Just out of curiosity. The Maui in Asheville, North Carolina. Just saying. I'm just saying. Davidson beat UNLV 77-73. Wyoming got a win last night. They beat Incarnate Word at home 94-83. San Diego State is 3-0. They
overtime.
In overtime. Yeah, Wyoming's struggling. Yeah, that was overtime. Yes, that's correct. They outscored them 16-5 in overtime. Sorry, because that did need the context there. San Diego State's 3-0. They beat St. Catherine 83-41. Poor St. Catherine. Denver Air Force and San Jose State Pepperdine were canceled because of the virus yesterday. So those were yesterday's games. Today was the day you were scheduled to have New Mexico Boise State. Today would have been the opener, but it's not. And still no official word on an opener for Lowell basketball. I don't know if you caught any of the Jimmy V yesterday. Gonzaga, the top-ranked team in the country, they're 3-0. They beat West Virginia 87-82. Gonzaga's just a fun watch. Baylor won the other game 82-69. JJ, Gonzaga, watching this, and Mark Few's had good teams, and they went to the championship game a few years back, but it sure feels to me like this is his best team.
Well, we've been able to say that all year. I don't think they're as good in the front court as they've been. I think Timmy is solid, but it's probably the best backcourt they've had. When you look at Andrew Nebhard, who transferred from Florida, was immediately eligible. He had a big game last night. Ayayi is really good, kind of that swing player, playing a small forward position. So I think they're better in the backcourt on the perimeter that they've been. Kispert is a good scorer, kind of more smaller power forward, but I think that allows them to match up with so many teams anyway. And playing a West Virginia team that wants to make it ugly, that's going to try to D up to the end, and then they push them as far as they did. I was really impressed with West Virginia offensively staying in that game, but it's really showing Gonzaga how many different styles already early in the season that this roster can play.
Yeah, the West Virginia did push them. They absolutely did. How about the Horns? Winning the Maui Invitational, 69-67 over North Carolina. That's a big win for. Look at old Micah. Look how happy he is. Big win for Texas, beating North Carolina.
Shaka Smart's got something going with this roster. You got a solid backcourt, Colmy, Ramey, guys that have been there, done that. Greg Brown, a highly touted freshman, is definitely going to be a difference maker. This is one where you wonder, all right, is this getting close to the end for Shaka Smart? He's been there for a while. It hasn't popped. They got a special team this year.
Yeah, and a special win for them last night to go out and get that one and win the Maui Invitational, even though they didn't get to go to Maui. to do it, 69-67. Elsewhere, Oregon got beat. They were ranked first. Missouri beat them 83-75. A bunch of canceled games yesterday in the top 25. Florida State beat North Florida, and I think that's it. Did you enjoy watching the Jimmy V and the champions? Because I'm watching these. I will tell you, I do like some stuff. I didn't know that I missed the fans. I got used to watching the NBA in that bubble. I got used to watching golf, missed them at the Masters. I don't know that I miss it that much watching football, because as you're watching the game, right, you don't see the way football is shot. You just see the field for the most part. College basketball looks different, man. College basketball looks and feels different without people in the stands.
I think that's the most dramatic one so far. I agree with you, not having the atmosphere of the student sections. Seeing Michigan State play Duke in an empty gym. It was weird, but what has it been at this point in time? And this is how challenging it's going to be, because we're seeing some big-time matchups, some big-time games. Saturday, it's 1 versus 2. It's Gonzaga and Baylor. And yet they're, like New Mexico, there still are a lot of teams out there that aren't playing a lot of games, but it's just going to be all about what you do in your conference tournament. And just like every other year, you're going to see a lot of the power teams that have been able to play these games early and fill up the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, it's just this one, like I said, I got used to a lot of stuff. I got used to just seeing different, the football. Even the golf was weird until was not as weird until the Masters. Like I told you, throughout the summer, there were a few moments, whatever that tournament was, where it was Dustin Johnson and Justin Thomas. Didn't they hit those two bomb putts back to back, right? In extra holes of a tournament, and those long putts where you miss the roar of the crowd. Sure missed it at the Masters. I thought the Masters felt different. But football's been football to me in a lot of respects. Certainly the NFL. Just watching the games, it's weird, but I'm there. The college basketball's been just bizarre. Seeing the Aggies play in these little gyms. With these low angles, because, well, that's all you get. Watching these empty arenas, seeing Madison Square Garden last night, and to your point, watching, Kansas, Kentucky in an empty arena, and watching the caliber of the teams that we're watching, and nobody's there. It's, man. It is what it is. It feels like, I don't know where you are. We haven't done a lot of pandemic talk, and I'm good with that. It feels like we're going into the darkest before the dawn period, doesn't it? You're hearing about the vaccine, but yet at the same time you're hearing people say the next 2 months it's going to be the worst it's ever been. But there's hope on the horizon. Vaccines here. They're talking about distribution plans. Like, it almost feels like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. But we just got to get through this next really, what everybody's telling you is going to be a really harsh period.
Yeah, there's still a lot of work to be done to get to that light at the end of the tunnel. The one thing for college basketball, and maybe even a little bit for football, is what I hope they can take out of this is stop being scared to play games. Like, stop just having, this needs to be a neutral court game. This is an MT. Like, go just get out there, play games. It was, Villanova lost to Virginia Tech, but they took a chance and they played that game they agreed upon a week before. Arizona State was a team that was supposed to be playing. They had some issues, so Bob Huggins got on the phone and said, "Hey, we're available. Can we play some games?" Unless you saw them taking on Gonzaga. That's one thing I hope carries over, is these schools, these teams, just play. Like, one loss isn't going to derail your season in college basketball. Get out there, get some of these games. Realize how cool it's going to be to play on campus sites in the future. Get away from so many neutral court games, because I think what you're realizing now is, that home atmosphere, that's pretty cool. It's pretty nice to play in front of all these fans. So that if anything can come out of this college basketball season, I hope it's that just coaches willing to play more games whenever, wherever.
Wasn't Illinois a replacement in the Jimmy V? Didn't somebody have a COVID issue and had to pull out of the Jimmy V Classic, and Illinois was a replacement last week? I think. But to your point, go out and play. If you play good competition and you get beat, it's only going to make you better, and it's not going to keep you out of the NCAA tournament. It's just not. That's what we're seeing. And I know, fans around here have been frustrated by that. I mean, the Aggies are going to get to play Arizona next week, right? They lose, it's not going to hurt them. It's not. I mean, I'm gonna guess a close game against Arizona is probably more impressive on the resume to people sitting in the room in Indianapolis in March than a win over Benedictine Mesa. Wouldn't you guess?
Just a bit.
They went out and they played them. So, all right, 246-0610 coming up at the bottom of the next hour, 8:30. Jerry Palm's going to be with us. Look forward to catching up with Jerry. We missed him last week because of Thanksgiving, but we'll get into some college football with him. The holiday season is now here. Time to take care of everything and everyone, but gentlemen, do not forget to take care of you. How you feeling? Could be better, huh? You dealing with the lack of energy maybe? Low T? Erectile dysfunction? Then I strongly suggest you call NewMale. NewMale's right here in Albuquerque helping thousands of men, and they're doing it all over the country. Guys taking care of themselves and feeling better. Pick up the phone and call NewMale. 505-652-1688. You can visit NewMale, NUMALE.com. Taking care of yourself and feeling better is easy, and the process is comfortable. From the phone call all the way through the treatment, and the results are real. NewMale can help you with ED, depression, even hair loss. Start the process by calling 505-652-1688. As men age, these things are natural. There's nothing to be ashamed of. The beauty of NewMale is you can battle nature. You can feel like you again. That is the perfect gift. Do something special for yourself, fellas. Call NewMale. Feel better. 505-652-1688 or visit newmail.com.
Second field goal, he's got 4 points. Watson, though, goes all the way.
Hit the deck, I should say. Cordova tried to throw it off Romero. A 3 for...
Set out to Jutopia. Nice move behind his back. It's a good...
Here's Ramos, step back, high arcing, 20!
Well, he needed to get his legs back under him.
Ooh, a little kick.
They leave it one more time. Two-hand hammer.
Look at this. They're going to go score again. Look at this.
Up top. Yes, and the finish for Akbayosi. Saved into the hands of Riak. Ahead of the pack. Davina Lovato. Up high. Down hard for Akbayosi. Out of the corner, Casals, the 3-0, Katenge! Let me clean up the mess! He dropped out of the rafters for that one, Steve.
Dorian over. Did he get in?
Yeah, they got in.
Touchdown, Dorian Lewis.
Seconds to play. Benavides looking, still looking up the middle. It's intercepted. It's picked off by Freddie Anaya, and Roswell's season will end perfect.
Second quarter, 2nd and 4 for Socorro at the whole 44-yard line. McDaniel trying, good block by Hicks. First down and more, 30, 25, 20. McDaniel might be gone. Touchdown.
Wow.
Touchdown for Michael McDaniel.
It's 40 seconds this year. It's not like 25 like it used to be.
He laterals it back. What a play by Hightower. Pitch.
Look Looked like somebody moved a little bit early. Hicks, the play fake double move. He's got his receiver wide open. Caught. One man to beat. Touchdown. Touchdown to number 17, Nathaniel.
Third and 6. Big defensive play coming up here. Little trickery to Reese. See you later. Touchdown. They went for the deep ball to Reese.
To the right, single receiver split to the left. Play fake, head up off the middle, got some room. 50, 45, 40, has one man to beat. 30, 25, 10, 5, touchdown. Touchdown, Hope.
Wow.
On a
Option again, he'll keep it. Now he'll pitch it. Comes out to the 30, 25, 20, up the sideline. Still inbounds, into the end zone. Let's see.
Touchdown.
Touchdown, Portel.
The outside of running an out route.
Davis in on a play action, looking. He's going to go back to Lewis, and Lewis makes a cut, and Lewis still on his feet. Dorian Lewis is in for a touchdown.
So Davison back to toss it. He's got all day. It's one miss, and he's rolling.
NBA is gathering an opening training camp and handing out money like it's Halloween candy. Anthony Davis, 5 years, if you're just getting up this morning, 5 years, $190 million max deal, about $38 million average a year with the Los Angeles Lakers. That's the day after the Lakers gave LeBron James a 2-year extension. 2 years, a mere $85 million. I mean, that is, can you imagine? I mean, $38 million would be great, right? It would set us all per year. You get that over the next 5 years, you're good. It's a different world. Lakers are the now prohibitive favorites, right? I mean, as good as the West is, and there are some teams, I like Portland, I like Denver, I like what Phoenix is doing. I mean, the Golden State's going to be really intriguing, even without Clay. But the Lakers are, with what they've done, the addition of Schroeder, they are prohibitive favorites, right? With those two guys now locked in?
Yes. It's frustrating for the Warriors because they were going to be right back there with Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Andrew Wiggins as a role player with Draymond Green. They're a playoff team. They're not a contender. There's still so many issues with the other team in Los Angeles, the Clippers. I don't know if you saw the story of Paul George on the All the Smoke podcast, talking about how they did not make any adjustments last year. Doc Rivers was not good in that playoff series against the Nuggets. He didn't like the way he was used on that team. He felt that they used him just like a role player. So I don't see that changing anytime soon in Los Angeles. And that was supposed to be Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. It's going to work. It's going to be magic. And Paul said exactly what we all thought. He said everyone, including themselves, just assumed it was going to work. But the time that they missed on the court, they never gelled, and that was clearly evident with the Clippers. So that is something to watch because you just assume it's Kawhi Leonard, it's Paul George. They're going to be right there. Not so fast. They're going to win a lot of games because they're still that good, but ton of questions when it comes to that team in the playoff series.
So do you think, because I'm not sure I do, when they get the time that Paul George is talking about, that somehow all of a sudden they click like that, then it's going to work if they get a quote unquote whatever a full season is going to look like this year, a fuller season. I mean, somehow that now it's going to work, because I don't see it.
Yeah, this is one where Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, it's a look in the mirror moment. And I get it. Kawhi's a champion, and he's been the best player on championship teams. He was far from that. When the biggest moment of their season, Game 7 against the Denver Nuggets, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard disappeared. So what did that do for them? What kind of mentality are they going to have? How are they not only going to be able to play together, but pull that entire roster together with a brand new coach and knowing that they're talented enough to be in the Western Conference Finals? Those two guys are good enough to be a team that goes out there and challenges the Lakers. So that's going to be one of the biggest things in just a few weeks. Yes, the NBA season starts on December 22nd. Is really watching how those two guys handle themselves this year.
Yeah, yes. And I give you 100%. You're right. Kawhi wasn't that guy. He wasn't. And I'm not willing to tell you he's done or he can't be again. He wasn't in these playoffs. But I'm going to put more on Paul George because I don't think Paul George was good in the playoffs. I just, and whether it was Doc Rivers' fault because it wasn't used right, whatever, man. I get. And I like Paul George, but I get so tired. I wasn't used right. Look, this isn't always about you. This is about how are you going to fit into this team? Well, it isn't going to work. And I'm going to tell you, I've seen Kawhi be a champion in 2 different places and trying now for a third. And so the track record tells me he works. It can work with him. To me, the onus is on Paul George to figure out a way to make this work. Now, it's on both of them, but if somebody's got to change, I'm telling you, it's the guy that is Robin, not Batman.
Yeah, and Kawhi will let you get yours. He'll be a creator. Like, these two players should work. They're not that. This isn't a Russell Westbrook with anyone else type of situation. Like, all right, Paul, you have a game that you can play off of someone, but you also have a game that you can create. Figure it out. These two guys are good enough to play together. So that'll be one of the big storylines to watch is how that team overall moves forward. Montrezl Harrell not there anymore. He was a closer for them, but I think it's a situation bringing in Serge Ibaka actually it fits better for who the Clippers are, because Montrezl Harrell is more kind of offensive rebounds inside, where now you just get a guy that's going to sit back, rebound, be a presence defensively, and so I think it fits their role players better.
All right, you can get in on any of the NBA stuff and how much AD's getting paid and LeBron. Coming up next, might be the biggest game in college football this year, or this week, not this year, this week. It doesn't involve Alabama or Notre Dame or Clemson or any power, in fact, no power conference teams. And it was just put together like this morning. What? Could be an interesting watch. It'll be. I think you'll enjoy that. We'll get into some college football. Pac-12 lost another bowl game, a bowl game that certainly we're familiar with in this region. We'll get into that as well. We're on ProView Networks and 95.9 FM. You're listening to The Opening Drive on the Sports Animal.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot. It's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network. Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
across the box off the dasher. It's settled. Shot up by Garcia. Trickles in. Goal.
Chavez blocked at the rim. And here's Dorian Lewis to Watson.
Shot on and just wide. Big deflection. Goal.
Over this first field goal. Look at that. That's gorgeous.
Not a game you can go have 25 turnovers in and win.
Get that out of here, Watson says.
Here comes Hodnett all the way. He's blocked in return.
Dickey, did he get it off? He did, and he hit it. They're really... Oliveras. Wild three, and it hit.
Another steal nearly by Hidon. It is a steal. Avalos ahead to Hidon. The two-hand hammer by Hidon. I knew he was going to put that one down. ProView Networks tonight.
District matchup there.
Davidson took it away in transition. Might be time for
This weekend, so what are you looking forward to? Well, Lobos, Wyoming's good. Big game involving two teams that are not Power 5 conference teams. JJ, I think it caught your eye when you said, wow, two ranked teams are playing, Liberty and Coastal Carolina. You go, what the heck? But Liberty can't play. Several players, staff members, including their star quarterback, Malik Willis, positive or were quarantined this week because of COVID. So the Flames are still an open to play. It's a big deal for them to play, go on to play an undefeated Coastal Carolina. Coastal's 9-0, leading the Sun Belt. They are nationally ranked. So, JJ, who is it that is also a non-Power 5 team that is trying to make a point to get into a New Year's Six bowl game and hasn't played anybody and is sitting going, look at us, and is also 9-0?
Well, it's that team that thought they were going to be as big as Notre Dame, being an independent, but not quite.
The BYU Cougars are going to step in and play this game. BYU is currently ranked 13th. Coastal, do you know what Coastal's nickname is, by the way? Any idea? They're the team that plays in Myrtle Beach on that kind of teal turf.
We talk about them every week. Redshirt Season podcast.
Yeah. Look at that. Is that why Michael lit up?
Yes. Coastal Carolina Chanticleers.
That's right, the Chanticleers. So BYU hadn't played since November 21st. They're looking for another game. They weren't scheduled to play again until December 12th when they play San Diego State. So game day, by the way, is going to be there. That's how big this game is. Game day is going to be in Myrtle Beach. Sure they are. They're going to be on the campus of Coastal Carolina. And that's as big a game as there is. It's the opening drive. Jeff Siembieda, JJ Buck. Mike has been producing on the radio side. Jay Paul and Josh on the ProView Network side. JJ, I mean, honestly, like, that's as much as I'm looking forward to as anything else on the schedule this week. You?
Yes, because BYU hasn't played anybody. No spilt milk for me seeing them at 13th, 9-0. Yeah, you got to get offense, but unfortunately, you just couldn't schedule anything. It's what happened this year. But this is a huge game for them, and also in Coastal Carolina, just to try to stay on the heels of Cincinnati. All the Group of 5 teams right now are chasing Cincinnati. They're in the driver's seat. Yeah, they're 7th in the playoff rankings. They're never getting into the playoffs. But if they slip up, opportunity opens up to be a Group of 5 representative in a New Year's Six bowl game. So huge opportunity for Coastal Carolina. Once again, a situation. I love it. Step up, play the game. You know, 4-letter network is going to be in your house. They want to see you ball out. BYU's like, all right, let's go. So big opportunity for BYU as well. And it's you know, look at the playoff rankings, there's a lot of placeholders because there's a lot of teams outside the top 4 that have no business being anywhere near the top 4, but they need someone there. And this is one of those games that might not have playoff implications. It absolutely has New Year's 6 implications.
Yeah, I think it actually does. Can you see a scenario where more than one non-power conference school gets in the New Year's 6? So we're talking about 12 teams, right? Cincinnati feels like they're in. Is there a scenario, because I think there is, where a BYU wins this game, beats San Diego State, and gets in, or even Coastal? Can Coastal find their way in? I mean, we're two non-power. I don't think Boise State now, with 2 games canceled, is going to find a way in. I don't think San Jose State is, because who's their best win going to be against? And that's what you got left in the Mountain West, right? Am I missing an undefeated team in the Mountain West? San Jose State's the only undefeated team, right? Boise State's undefeated in the league, but there's not another, right? But I can see BYU and Cincinnati getting in if teams continue to drop above them.
Yeah, BYU with the victory this week, and I think would be in a better position. They still have San Diego State to play, but I think overall, say, a 10-0, 11-0 BYU versus a 7-2 Georgia, or right. 2 or 3 loss Big 12 team. Definitely, that would be the closest we'd see to a team overtaking one of those power conference squads.
Yeah, I can see the conversation happening for a 2-win Georgia or 2-loss Georgia. I'm struggling with a 2 or 3 loss Big 12 team at that point, because I don't know that league was great this year. And so you're going to tell me, well, they're better than North Alabama and Louisiana Tech and some of the teams that BYU beat. I'll give you that. But at some point, 11-0 is 11-0, right?
Yeah, I think it gets you in that conversation. It doesn't get you in a playoff conversation. Like it's
different conversation.
Yeah, and that's why too, when you outside of the top 4 right now, because I get it. Ohio State's only played 4 games. I believe they're one of the best 4 teams in the country. But the rest of it, you have to rank 25 teams. So you have to put teams somewhere. Like seeing Iowa State at 9, they're no business being in that spot, but you got to put someone there. And they're not going to put a bunch of these undefeated group of 5 teams up there. So they're going to kind of give the benefit of the doubt. Like it has to get crazy for any of these teams to move up. But what you're seeing is when it comes to those other bowl spots, still, like, these are going to be big rankings, because if you're sitting there going, well, Chanticleers are 13th in the college football playoff rankings, and Iowa State's there at 10, you start looking at who we're going to take, BYU, like that's where it does matter. What the college football playoff rankings tell you more than any other, because it's the people in the room making the decisions, laying out who they think are the best teams.
Yeah. All right, you talked about bowl season. Las Vegas Bowl announced yesterday that they're not playing this year. 10th bowl game is shut down because of the pandemic. I'm going to tell you firsthand experience how hard it is to plan a bowl game, to put something on with the restrictions, with the pandemic, with everything that's going on in our world. It's an incredible challenge. 10 games. We saw the Sun Bowl shut down, the second longest running bowl game in the bowl system. They're going dark this year. Because of the pandemic, it's been Vegas, the Sun Bowl, Bahamas, the Celebration Bowl, Fenway Bowl, Hawaii Bowl, Holiday, Motor City, Pinstripe, and the Red Box Bowl in San Francisco. I mean, those are some decent, right? I mean, Yankee Stadium, Levi Stadium, the Sun Bowl, Fenway Park, the Holiday Bowl in San Diego. And the Pac-12, JJ, has now lost 4 of their bowl tie-ins. And I don't know how this is all going to shake out. I'm not even going to pretend to guess. But the Pac-12, it's been such a... And I wonder when it's all said and done, when they write the postscript on the season, our league's going to come out and kind of second think the way they handled it by not playing early. Would that have made a difference in bowl season? Probably not. But the Pac-12 season, you're going to have teams that are going to go out and play like 3 games. And that's going to be a season, JJ. Because COVID cancellations, and then if they don't get into bowl games, I mean, that's going to be a season. I don't know what's worth it, what's not anymore. I know, we're playing football and we're watching football. We're going to have as many bowl games as go play. But this everything about it right now is feeling so weird. And the guy runs both the Sun Bowl and the game in Vegas, but I know all these guys. They're good friends of mine, Hawaii as well. And these are hard, man. This is what you put your work into. This is you put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into something like this. And I know how hard it's been for these guys to have to make these announcements. It's hard.
Yeah, it's difficult to see. It's even when you knew probably some of this was coming, it doesn't make it any easier in this situation. And there's always going to be the what ifs with college football. Well, what if we started earlier? What if this happened? I can understand that more so from, say, the Pac-12 standpoint, where they might have had a little bit more, say, money in reserve to make decisions. I do think, the Mountain West really for that time was, what tests are we going to get? How are we going to do this? How are we going to afford this? And then once you get going in it, you're still going to end up losing games. And we saw Boise State lose another game, but at least, by the time they got going, they had a plan in place that made sense. And yeah, I think there's going to be a ton of what ifs with this season, but not to the point that there's going to be too many regrets, because heck, all of us, like every single day, are dealing with something different, finding out something new, going this way when we thought we were going that way. It's just kind of like get to the finish line now. Just find a way to get to the finish line.
Yeah, and it almost feels that way in some respects. Look, Bulls start 2 weeks from Saturday. The New Mexico Bowl's 3 weeks from today. As we're turning up the heat. I mean, it's insane. And there's so many things, yesterday is when the Vegas Bowl made the announcement. So we're into it really, really quickly. And what it's going to look like, I don't know. I just tell people that we're going to make it the best experience that we can make for the student athletes and do the best we can to showcase our city. But this is going to be really interesting. We'll talk to Jerry Palm coming up at the bottom of the hour. I'm sure that'll come up as well. 505-246-0610 if you want to get in. 888-922-0610 at Kirtland Federal Credit Union. You are at the center. It's people helping people. It's local understanding. It's about the relationship. Because at Kirtland Federal Credit Union, you're a person, not an account number, and that makes a world of difference. Your family. That means you can depend on Kirtland Federal Credit Union, and they'll be there whenever you need them, wherever you go, online, in a branch, over the phone. Get started today, kirtlandfcu.org. That's www.kirtlandfcu.org. You belong at Kirtland Federal Credit Union. Kirtland Federal Credit Union, they are more than military. They are for life. Kirtland Federal Credit Union is an equal housing lender federally insured by the NCUA.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network. Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
the box off the dasher. It's settled. Shot on by Garcia. Trickles in. Goal.
Chavez blocked at the rim. And here's Dorian Lewis to Watson.
Shot on and just wide. Big deflection. Goal.
Over this first field goal. Look at that. That's gorgeous.
Not a game you can go have 25 turnovers in and win.
Get that out of here, Watson says. Here comes Hodnett all the way. He's blocked in return.
Dickey, did he get it off? He did, and he hit it. They're really... Oliveras. Wild three, and it hit.
Another steal nearly by Hiron. It is a steal. Avalos ahead to Hiron. The two-hand hammer by Hiron. I knew he was going to put that one down.
ProView Networks tonight.
District matchup there.
Davidson took it away in transition. Might be time for a jam. Yes.
Oh!
Nick Barton, watch him, coach. Watch the inbounder.
Dumas Sanchez in the corner.
Back to Barton with 2.4 seconds left. Fires for the win.
And he got it!
It's good.
Oh my God!
On the last second shot.
He did!
By
Oh
Malik
my
Barton.
God!
Bakes it in from 25 feet and watch the celebration right in front of us. What a shot by Barton. He was double teamed and somehow found a way to get it in. Ramos to Gaxiola, high window for the win. It's good. It counts. Gaxiola with the game winner for a Driscoll Heritage.
The New Mexico High School Coaches Association, established in 1941, is an organization of New Mexico's best and most professional interscholastic coaches. Coaches across work daily to help our student athletes excel in the classroom, on the field of play, and in our communities. Students that participate in interscholastic activities attain higher grades, higher graduation rates, and higher wages. Responsible for the North-South All-Star Games, statewide Coaches Award Program, and providing multiple professional development opportunities for New Mexico's coaches. Be a great coach by coaching beyond the game. Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets,
I absolutely despise to beat the hated Washington football team to keep NFL's most complete franchise in the state tournament race. Okay. I guess Dallas is still in the mix at 3-8. I guess they're still in the mix. They are, in fact. What I tell you, JJ, over under 6.5 wins is going to win that division. Where'd we end up on that?
I think we're at the under.
We are, right? We're at the under now. I could see one of them getting to 7. I can see the Giants getting to 7.
Even without
I'm on the Giants. I'm on the Giants right now. Yeah, I think Colt McCoy. Let's see. I got to look at their schedules. Actually, I got to look at their. How long are they expecting Daniel Jones out? Because he's starting to play ball.
See him this weekend, and that's all it could take. Is
yeah, fair enough.
In this terrible year for the NFC East is 1 game difference.
Because man, I'm gonna have to be on Washington and Alex Smith. I'm not on the Eagles, man. I'm done. We've all been on the Eagles, I think, and I'm done. Lobo Hobo says, so who does Lobo football play on the 19th, Jeff? That's only 2 weeks away. When are we going to get an official announcement? I heard rumors from everyone from a big crosstown rivalry game with UNLV, a rescheduled contest with CSU, even a P5 matchup. I don't know. I don't know that they're playing on the 15th in football. I don't know that they're not. I don't know why you think you need to know 2 weeks out when Liberty and BYU put together a game on Saturday this morning. Honestly, I don't know why you think you're going to hear about it now. Now you might.
You're not going to hear about anything now. 3 weeks? Are you kidding me? That's an eternity when it comes to sports scheduling. Get through this weekend, plan for your finale against Fresno State, and see what's left. Like,
yeah.
I know this is about the opportunity. The practice, the repetitions. Danny said something interesting yesterday on his conference call. He said, because I asked him just like the state of college football, like has he noticed anything different with the challenges for multiple teams, and including his? And he said, well, fundamentals and tackling have been an issue, but he thinks 2 years from now you could see an impact because of the players, whether it's injuries and or contact tracing, that have an opportunity to get on the field for all these football teams. Who actually thinks, some might say they have a step ahead in development, getting players on the field that they didn't expect to this year.
No, I imagine there's something to that. I mean, game reps are certainly something that's way more valuable than practice reps, and guys who might not be getting that prior are getting it now. Boy, I sure hope they're back on the 19th. I need my A-frames back. They've got all of our A-frames out in Vegas, and they're supposed to be back that week so I can take them to Frisco. I'll make that phone call. JG, the injury thing and the preparation thing, we heard a lot of that coming out of yesterday's NFL game about how I pulled a hamstring, and I've never pulled a hamstring before. It's because we didn't work out this week. We had walkthroughs. I do believe there's something to that. We talk a lot about getting ready, the soccer team. United use that as the excuse. We have to train because if we don't, we're putting our players at risk during games. And that's pretty much what the Steelers and Ravens were complaining about yesterday. You didn't let us practice all week and threw us out on the field. You endangered us. You put us in a tough situation. And there were non-contact injuries. I do believe there's something to that. I mean, there's a reason that you train and have practices all week long.
Yeah, and I think it's an even bigger impact in the collegiate game, because at least with the NFL players, it's usually like 1 or 2 days where you're going about your normal practice, and the rest is just pretty much getting your body ready for what you're facing on the weekend. And for Baltimore, they definitely have that issue, everything being virtual, can't practice, can't do this, but yet they were playing the game. And I think Pittsburgh got to a point where they probably were just kind of going through the motions, going, I guess we're playing this game Tuesday. I guess we're playing this game on Wednesday. And it was evident. It was a sloppy, ugly football game.
Yeah, really sloppy and really ugly football game where even the winners' post-game press conference sounded like they lost. I'll get to more of your emails and keep them coming. Jeff at 610knml.com or JJ at 610knml.com. Who's playing this weekend? We're gonna get into college football playoff rankings and the business thereof. We can even hit Jerry with some college basketball stuff because he is their chief bracketologist over at CBSSports.com. Coming up next, guy you read every day probably over on CBSSports.com. Jerry Palm's going to be with us. We're on ProView Networks. It's the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610 The Sports Animal.
At all high school
right now,
team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rollins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Schwartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Schwartz Team Sales.
Creates space. He gives it off to Rivas for the three, and he buries it.
He'll be coming in soon. Double pick set for Avalos. Goes to the right. Avalos puts it up high. Window. Scores it as foul. Right here by Lewis all the way. Coast to coast. And finish. What a...
Around the screen. Against White. Step back. It's blocked. JB with the block.
In transition. Ahead to hit on. Hit on for the two-hand hammer.
Seconds to go. They've got a shot. They have a chance. And it's put up. And it's good. What a three that is by Jalen.
Puts it up. Rebound Cowboys. Right side David Hall. Thank you very much. Here come the Cowboys. Domina Lovato lays it up. Missed it. Hey, how about it? Thank you, Lusses. Thank you very much, Raquan Mitchell. Clock at 6. They get it. Barnes Tompkins fires. Yes! Pass up court. This for the win. Blocked by DJ Bustos. Cowboys win. Cowboys win.
Second field goal, he's got 4 points. Watson, though, goes all the way.
Hit the deck, I should say. Cordova tried to throw it off Romero. A three for...
Set out to Jude Tapia. Nice move behind his back. It's a good...
Here's Ramos, step back, high arcing, 20!
Well, he needed to get his legs back under him. Ooh, little kick.
They leave it one more time. Two-hand hammer. Up top. Yes, and the finish for Akbayosi. Saved into the hands of Riak ahead of the pack. Domina Lovato up high, down hard for Akbayosi. Out of the corner, Casals, the 3-0, Katenge! Let me clean up the mess! He dropped out of the rafters for that one, Steve.
Dorian over. Did he get in?
Yeah, they got in. He got in.
Touchdown, Dorian Lewis.
Seconds to play. Benavides looking, still looking up the middle. It's intercepted. It's picked off by Freddie Anaya, and Roswell's season will end perfect.
Second quarter, 2nd and 4 for Socorro at the whole 44-yard line. McDaniel trying, good block by Hicks. First down and more, 30, 25, 20. McDaniel might be gone. Touchdown.
Wow.
Touchdown for Michael McDaniel.
It's 40 seconds this year. It's not like 25 like it used to be.
He laterals it back. What a play by Hightower. Pitch.
Looked like somebody moved a little bit early. Hicks, the play fake double move. He's got his receiver wide open. Caught. One man to beat. Touchdown. Touchdown to number 17, Nathaniel.
Third and 6. Big defensive play coming up here.
Well, I know a lot of things scream 2020 every day, everywhere you look. Another thing in college football. I mean, it's you got college game day is going to be in Myrtle Beach. Maybe the biggest game on the slate was going to be Coastal Carolina versus Liberty. Liberty's out because of COVID issues, but they're still the biggest game because it's BYU and Coastal Carolina. Like, welcome to the year 2020. It's the opening drive. Jeff Siembieda, JJ Buck. We'll get back to your phone calls in a bit. We welcome into the program as we do every Thursday, except for on Thanksgiving, and probably on, well, I guess Christmas will be a Friday. Jerry Palm from CBSSports.com. Good morning, Jerry Palm. How you living?
I'm doing all right. You know, this really stinks for Liberty, right? I mean, when is Liberty ever going to get to be in a spotlight like that again?
I mean, I never say never anymore because I'm wrong.
Yeah, well,
but
okay. It was
close
the next
to
pandemic,
never.
right?
Yeah.
But, you know, we end up with a better game, though, I think.
I think
with no
we do, right?
BYU and Coastal is a pretty nice game.
So you liked Liberty at 8.5. I'm going to guess you like BYU. I haven't even seen a spread yet, but
I would guess in the neighborhood of 10. And yes, I would say if it's around there, I like BYU.
All right, let me ask you this. JJ and I just had a conversation about New Year's 6, not playoff, New Year's 6. Right. BYU, let's just say they win this game, beat San Diego State, run the table, they're 11-0, maybe find another game. Cincinnati runs the table too. Is there a chance in this weird year with teams falling and there's not a lot in the Pac-12? I'm not sure that I love anything coming out of the Big 12 that two non-power teams get into New Year's 6 games?
Yeah, it's possible. It is. You know, BYU, they need a game like this to make a case. Because right now their schedule is mid-level Conference USA teams, mid-level American teams, mid-level Sun Belt teams, non-Division I, and Boise with their third-string quarterback. They've got nothing on this schedule. They need a game like this to justify any hope of a New Year's 6 game. So, you know, if they go out and they win comfortably, like I think we expect, then they probably do end up in the New Year's 6.
Now, the fear is, if they go in there and beat Coastal, do people say, yeah, Coastal wasn't any good? Who'd they beat? App State and how good was Coastal?
Yeah, they won their league, and their non-conference win was Kansas. Yeah. So, you know, I mean, and Kansas is one of the worst teams in all of college football. They wouldn't do any better than the middle of the Sun Belt. they're bad. So, yeah, you know, it's but the top of the Sun Belt's been pretty good this year, you know. So it's been a good year for the Sun Belt, you know, by Sun Belt standards. I mean, Louisiana won at Iowa State. That's a Big 12 regular season champion, you know. So, you know, and Coastal beat them? Somebody beat them. It must have been Coastal. But they're going to play him. Well, they're going to play him next week, or the 19th. I mean, anyway, for the league title. But you know, by the way, if Coastal wins this game, there might be a case for them. at the New Year's Six.
Absolutely, yeah. I think Coastal and Coastal and Marshall have conversations to be had too. And Marshall's looked nice, and Coastal. We're all giving this game to BYU. If Coastal wins this, then they should have a conversation too. I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree.
Jerry Palm from
Marshall
CBSSports.com is with us on the opening drive.
But Coastal, if that Coastal beats BYU, I mean, it's a big opportunity for Coastal as well. I just think that BYU's got too many very good players. I don't know who's going to the NFL from Coastal, but maybe a defensive back. They've got a pretty good defensive back, but BYU's probably got 4 guys at least going to the NFL off this team, including their quarterback. So, BYU is better, and they should win. I think both teams should be highly motivated. It should be a lot of fun. And, it's funny, game day's going here. Alabama LSU is being played this week, but game day's going to Coastal Carolina.
Yeah.
Hey, I guess
they've done that
Myrtle
before.
Beach. Why not, right?
That's what I'm saying. Myrtle Beach, or you want to go down to the south again.
Jerry, speaking of Alabama LSU, did you ever think you'd see Alabama as 30-point favorites at LSU?
No, but LSU's had a rough year with their roster. I mean, they lost a lot of guys off last year's team. Then they had some injuries and several opt-outs, and about all they got left now is Derek Stingley, and he can only do so much by himself. So, I guess I'm not surprised given what's happened this year, but no, if you'd have asked me pre-pandemic, I would have never thought that. And, if LSU keeps just the guys that opt out, it's not a 30-point line.
Jerry, the College Football Playoff Committee is asked to rank 25 teams. So the teams outside the top 4, you got to put people right there. How good is Texas A&M?
Well, I think they should be where they are. They beat Florida. They're not a highly explosive offensive team. Their offense is a little less consistent than Florida's. They're a better defensive team than probably Florida, maybe even better defensively than Alabama, although I don't think it would matter much. And it didn't matter when they played Alabama. But it's, I think A&M is pretty good. And if they beat Auburn this week, they've got a pretty clear path to a New Year's Six game as well. If BYU gets in, it's not going to be at the expense of somebody like A&M unless they lose. It'll be at the expense of somebody like Wisconsin or Indiana or Northwestern out of the Big Ten, and maybe a second team from the Pac-12.
Let's talk about the Pac-12, because you're watching that season diminish and diminish. There's so many cancellations. They were abbreviated to 6 games anyway. What chance? I mean, I don't see any chance that after Oregon's loss. SC plays on Sunday. They had a game canceled last week. There's no chance for a playoff for them, right?
No, they needed a 7-0 champion. That was a really good team, somebody that really demonstrated it. But Oregon had the best chance to do that. USC really. Their first 2 games are 1-point wins or 2-point wins, or over the 2 Arizona schools, and then that nice win over Utah in a place that they hadn't won. But then they get a game canceled, and there just isn't. I don't see a path. I mean, unless all of a sudden Washington goes nuts. I don't think.
But what does that mean? Go nuts? What at this point? What does go nuts mean?
Well, I mean, just completely dominate. Go finish 7-0, because they can still finish 7-0. I think, can't they? I think
they lost a game last week.
The game that they had 3-0 got replaced, right?
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at their schedule. I'm trying to call it up right now. They're 3-0 at this point, and they got. They have Washington State was canceled, so they've got Stanford left, and then they get Oregon. So I mean, if they go nuts on Oregon, and then they could have the championship
I forgot about the Washington State game. That hasn't been replaced. The first one they got canceled was replaced, but not that one.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just the Pac-12 champion is probably not going to be ranked high enough to probably not even in the top 12. Not that it matters; they don't have to be, but. It means that a team in the top 12 is not going to make a New Year's Six game because the Pac-12 champion's automatic. And by the way, the Big 10 champion, if it's not Ohio State, might also be outside of the top 12.
So hit me on Ohio State, Jerry, because we're talking about this whole conversation. If they get another game canceled, they wouldn't be eligible for their title game. Them playing in a title game is not a requisite for them being in the college football playoff. They could have a makeup game on the 19th, the day of the championship game, play somebody else. and they would in that scenario play somebody else in the Big Ten, they would, I believe, and JJ and I both believe this, I think would still get in, right?
As long as they play well enough and continue to show that they're that level of a team, yes. I think that with undefeated Ohio State's a playoff team. Now, I suppose if you end up with a scenario where Clemson beats Notre Dame and Florida beats Alabama and you've got those 4 one-loss teams there and Ohio State, I think one of those one-loss teams still gets left out. But Ohio State has to continue to play at a level where the committee doesn't doubt that they're a playoff team, right? They can't just go, 3-point win here, 7-point win there. I mean, they've got to show that they're a playoff team. The Big Ten, by the way, everybody in the Big Ten is playing on December 19th. So the championship, or that weekend, that championship game, if Ohio State's not eligible, they're not in it, but they'll play somebody else. And I would think most likely Wisconsin, although Michigan's a possibility too. It would really be in the league's best interest, though, for them to play Wisconsin.
Jerry Palm, for a few more minutes, is with us on the opening drive.
Jerry, the ACC adjusted some schedules, so Notre Dame's going to be in the title game. What are your thoughts about what they had to do and then what that means moving forward?
Well, I don't think there's anything ill-intended there. They were just trying to balance the number of games that the 3 teams at the top were playing so that you didn't have unbalanced schedules, although it could still end up being unbalanced because you never know. All schedules are tentative in college football. But so I don't think there was ever any doubt Notre Dame was going to be in the championship game. But I just think it's a weird week where Notre Dame and Northwestern each clinched spots in their conference championship games in the middle of the week because their schedule was adjusted. The league took away a game from Notre Dame. Minnesota had to cancel their game with Northwestern because of COVID, and both of those results clinched a division title for Northwestern and a championship game spot for Notre Dame. So it's just, 2020 again.
Yeah, and 2020, we're watching bowl games go down, and we're watching some really historic games. The Sun Bowl go down. Yeah. They've been played for 83 straight years. We saw Las Vegas.
Game, I think, to the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, no, that's right. We saw Las Vegas yesterday. 10 games have announced they're not playing. And look, I know firsthand how hard this is to get it done this year. If you include Celebration, the Celebration game.
Oh, sorry, that's not Division I. That's not FBS.
Yeah, it's not. Right. All right, so I'll give you 9. Right, 9 plus the Celebration Bowl. And the Pac-12 is going to have a problem just finding spots because everybody else has contracts.
Yeah, they've only got 3 left. And by the way, I've got in my mind that the Rose Bowl's in some doubt. If the California governor comes out with a stay-at-home order and doesn't make some exception for the Rose Bowl, they may have to move that game. And L.A. County, which Pasadena I think is in L.A. County, might come up with stricter. I'm not 100. I'm not going to sit here today and say 100% certain we're having a semifinal game in the Rose Bowl.
Well, let me just tell you, games being moved is not unprecedented. The Rose Bowl was played in Durham, North Carolina in 1942. It was World War. Right. It was the war.
Okay. We might have a Rose Bowl, but it may not be in Pasadena.
I imagine there's a chance of that.
They're still going to have to move the game, even if they keep the name. Well, I shouldn't say they're going to. They may have to move that game.
Yeah, it's crazy. You're watching this, and nothing's a surprise anymore, is it?
No, and if the governor comes up with a stay-at-home order, here this week for, which he's talked about it. We don't know if he's going to do it. It might force the other 5 California teams that haven't already evacuated California to play to do so. There's the 2 Mountain West teams, Fresno and San Diego, and then USC, UCLA, and Cal could all have to find somewhere else to play for the last couple of weeks if something like that happens.
Well, San Jose State's already done that. San Jose State had a home game this week, and they're relocated to Hawaii. They were actually looking.
They're in Santa Clara County, and the 49ers have had to win. It's crazy.
That's right. That's nuts. All right. Well, we'll reconvene next week. Read them every day over on CBSSports.com. It's a great read, and it'll keep you up to date on the latest. Jerry, enjoy the weekend. Always appreciate the time. Thanks.
All right. Thanks. Take care.
Be well. Jerry Palm from CBSSports.com. It is, I didn't even think about that on the Rose Bowl thing. With everything, curfews and everything else. I know that the reason the Lobo game is late this weekend is because San Diego State's playing in Carson, which is LA County, which all non-essential activities have to be done by the 10 o'clock curfew. So they had to move that game back into the window prior where the Lobos were, and the Lobos go into late window because they could play late in Nevada. I mean, everything's just wonky, and you don't think about all the little repercussions everywhere.
Moving pieces constantly in sports.
505-246-0610. We'll move our pieces around next on the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Safe.
That ball stolen. Jeremy Segura.
Over dribble, spin cycle, up and under move. What a pass, wrap around pass.
Harris, Legate, the long bomb, 3 ball.
Oh, great steal by Quinteros, lays it up and scores.
A whole little jump step in the...
And look out, here comes Agbayosi. Crawford. That's blocked. Lansing says, get that out of here. Sister to sister, Marianne Lansing's going to go all the way. Turnaround. Ramos, pump fake, everyone bites. Ramos hits.
Jackson loses it. David Bond back. LAU, put it down. Dunkalicious. How about it?
Call it as Javi's looking, and he's got a guy wide open, and it's Gay, and he's gonna walk into the end zone. But he did a good job with it. First and goal, it's Chavez to the middle, and Chavez stops.
And Stevens in motion. On the handoff to Mitchell. Look out! Oh, see you later. Take it to the house. Fly. Cardinals fly. To the other side. Provide some protection. And off to Webskowski again. Look out. See you later. Good night. Touchdown. Webskowski. He's going to fire to the end zone. Open man, touchdown, Wildcats. Not a defender inside.
A little bit.
Skowski on the sideline. Asta Manana, he's off to the races. Touchdown, Clovis.
Albuquerque this afternoon.
34-24, Rancho, late in the third. How about this run? Nice play. Dickerman, he's still on his feet. Touchdown, Wolverine.
Exactly what they want to get yards.
He's going to go for it. He's got a guy towards the end zone. It's grabs. Touchdown. What a play.
And long here for the Storm Handoff to, we're going to fake the handoff, excuse me. Davidson on the deep ball, he's got some space, and it's caught! Still on his feet, touchdown, Storm! Wow. Santa Maria!
And so they'll send one deep and returnable at the 2. Usually Volcano do either a reverse or a fake reverse, and here it is a reverse. And a move to the outside. There is a lane. Look out! Shot out of a cannon. Rodriguez is going to take it all the way.
Lovato driving. They're going to count it. Gallegos. Ooh, a little.
Basketball swag. See JJ? Oh, JJ didn't have his headset on yet. I gotta wait. It's like I gotta wait for JJ to put his headset on. See, Grady's wearing his New Mexico Bowl swag today too.
Swagtastic.
It is Swag Thursday. Opening drive. Jeff, JJ, Micah, J. Pole, Josh on ProView Networks at 95.9 FM and AM 610 Sports Animals. So, I got this email. It says, what are we doing, Jeffers? It's from Lobo Hobo. If we're rushing to get in the season by December 12th for bowls, and bowls are being canceled, then why not extend the regular season? It wasn't necessarily about bowls per se. It was about the college football playoff. To get the season done before the college football playoff selection, so A, you would be eligible for selection, and B, you'd be eligible to partake, get the proceeds from that, be the money. And the college last I checked, there was no movement by the college football playoff to move their dates back, right?
They are set right now.
So that's why we're still aiming at the same place. That's why we're still games. And look, I think there's going to be games on the 19th. I don't know if the Mountain West is going to do. So what are you hearing about the Mountain West playing games on the 19th and the Lobos playing another game?
I think this is one that they take to that final week and say, does anyone want to play? Are there any games that make sense? Do y'all want to have another week of practice and preparation for this contest? Because I think there's a chance maybe a couple teams do play and some are like, all right, we've had enough with everything. We can't really make this work.
Yeah, I would assume teams that have something to play for. Like, I mean, would a 1-6 team play? Is it? I don't know. I think everybody but Nevada has lost a game, I believe, to COVID. Whether it's their fault or it's not their fault. And so, we'll see where it goes on the 19th. Tavaka Tuioti is the subject of Carl's email. It says, Jeff, the doctors wouldn't let Lobo basketball play, Boise State, because Weir hadn't let them practice yet. Then surely you aren't putting Tavaka back on the court against Fresno State when he hasn't practiced in a month. He's listed as a junior. You don't go into 2021 with him as your starting quarterback, right? Only to see him get hurt again the second game of the season? It's from Carl. Well, if he earns the job, then he's your starting quarterback. I'm going to guess part of the recruiting this offseason, this recruiting season, will be focused on a long-term solution at quarterback. Would you not guess that?
Yes, that is very high up the list of priorities for this Lobo football program.
I think that's right. Can we talk about the women, Jeff? This is James. Says, I'm guessing since they lost their announcer, Sports Animal will no longer carry the games and we'll have to try to find the home broadcast. That's incorrect. Just because Josh Sushan has moved on doesn't mean there were people who did Lobo women's basketball before Josh, and as good as he is, there will be someone who does it after Josh. The game, and Micah, you talked to Carlisle. We're planning. I don't know who's calling the game yet, but we are planning on having Lobo women's basketball against, what is it, Midwestern State, I believe, tomorrow. It is Midwestern State tomorrow at 5 o'clock, and then against Sam Houston State on Sunday at 1 o'clock. We are planning on having those games for you here on the Sports Animal. I don't know who's calling them. Could be you, Mike, for all I know.
The games didn't go away. It's still the place you're going to get your basketball at.
We're still the home for Lobo women's basketball.
I have to run it and call it.
How hard can that be? I used to do that on my first, well, not the first, but the talk radio show I did in Washington State. Mike, I was the only guy. I literally had to run the commercials, answer phones on the air. So, hey, you're on the air. Who's this? Like there was no call screener. Look at the logs. Do everything. It was me here. And here's $1 a day, and go to work. And I'm like, okay, I'm in. I mean, it was more than $1, but not much. But yeah. Yeah, it can be done. I'm just saying it can be done. You can one-man band this thing. You want to try it? You want to do the? All right, Micah. JJ and I are taking the rest of the day off. Right. You take us home. And
you got J. Pole and Josh. You guys.
That's right.
Down.
See, you could do that. What do you think about what Jerry said? I mean, Jerry's so to the point where everything's so wonky and poor Liberty and. I mean, poor Liberty. I guess poor Liberty. That wasn't where my first thought went, oh, when's Liberty ever going to get this chance again? But, yeah, I guess poor Liberty. It's amazing that we spent so much time talking about Liberty, Coastal Carolina, and BYU.
2020 for you. It's all about just surviving. Give yourself a chance. It's what Coastal Carolina has done. That's what BYU has done. Look at these group of 5 teams. It's should be a lot of fun, though, watching these games this weekend. There's still some big races. You look at the MAC, Buffalo, Western Michigan, and their respective divisions are still undefeated. We've talked a lot about Marshall. So it's going to be a fun race to the end. There is a lot to play for, as everyone will be watching. Cincinnati, they're going to have that slip up because they're in the driver's seat. If Cincinnati slips up, that door is wide open for everyone else.
Cincinnati, Coastal, Marshall, BYU. Is Buffalo undefeated overall, or are they just undefeated in the MAC?
Oh,
they're undefeated. And they might be undefeated overall. I don't know that they played a whole lot of non-conference games. I'll find it for you.
I think they played non-conference games.
Yeah, I mean, so you've got teams that are making a claim. Hell, San Jose State's undefeated. I don't know that anybody thinks they're making a claim. That Boise State game would have been big for them, Them playing Boise State would have been a big, big, big deal for them. 505-246-0610, 888-922-0610. Your emails come in, Jeff at 610knml.com, JJ at 610knml.com. There's 2 undefeated teams in the MAC, JJ. Buffalo's 4-0 overall. Western Michigan is 4-0 overall. So the MAC, but again, it's 4-0. San Jose State's 4-0. Washington's 3-0. These teams that started late are playing from behind. I would tell you that I would give Marshall and Coastal the benefit of the doubt because they played a full season. It's the opening drive on ProView Networks at 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Lovato driving. They're going to count it. Gallegos. Ooh, a little spin and a finish. Natalia Chavez. Good spin. Takes it.
Here's Ramos. Nice jump stop to the.
Play with gambling a little bit. Oh, there's a.
Hill, little step, high window, and
Got the second.
To the middle. Here we go. 3.9. It's Cooper's going to run with it. Cooper's going to swing it out to Lowry. Lowry. Portillo couldn't get it off, and Clovis goes in. It's waved off. He did not get it off in time. Portillo.
reverse layup. Gallegos spins. Window finishes.
There's a run coming
Lazy pass. Here comes Crawford. It might be showtime. Shoot. They'll get one off, and it'll count high off the window.
Oh my gosh.
There's a long three.
Boom.
Bang. Martinez will beat the buzzer. Got it to go.
Fork driving kick. Three's in the air. It's good. Pass on the nice block by Hernandez Crawford.
And Brown in the transition. But why not, Steve? Is Corbalan's going to go and he puts it away. And Corbalan wants to put it down. Here comes Screechers. Brown, you can't leave him alone. Put it down.
Gershon in transition. 3-on-2. Gershon going to go all the way. Whoa, Morgan.
Paid Anthony Davis 5 years, $190 million with the LA Lakers. Max, super max, mega max, till the next guy mega maxes, and then you'll go, oh, all right. $190 million, 5 years. The day after LeBron re-upped for another 2 years at $85 million. I mean, it's just numbers, right? It's just monopoly money. When you're throwing around $275 million, the Lakers just did. What do you think of that? They just threw around $275 million. I mean, that used to be more than franchises was worth, and not very long ago. $275 million. But that's what the Lakers just did. Opening drive, Jeff JJ. Micah produces the radio side. Jay Pohl and Josh dancing in the studio over at ProView Network, masked up as they should be. Glad you're with us. You can get in at 505-246-0610 or 888-922-0610. JJ, bigger news yesterday, bigger news over the last 2 days. The trade, the Westbrook for John Wall trade, or AD mega maxing and getting paid?
It's Westbrook for John Wall, because there was no doubt that Anthony Davis was going to return to the Lakers. It's kind of just getting all your ducks in a row, finalizing LeBron's extension, finalizing the long-term deal for Anthony Davis, as well as some of the other moves that they made last week when free agency opened up, and then heading into the draft. So there was never a doubt about this. Now, the Westbrook situation was, who was going to take him? We knew it was at the end. He didn't want to play with with James Harden anymore. Harden was kind of like, I don't know if I want to be here. Mike D'Antoni's gone. Daryl Morey resigned. And in finding a trade partner for Russell Westbrook was absolutely the biggest story, because it doesn't necessarily change either team all that much, because they're similar players. When healthy, John Wall is just as good as Russell Westbrook, but I think it just tells you everything you need to know at Houston, how quickly they were ready to move on from Westbrook after just one season, saying, all right, we'll take a guy who hasn't played since 2018, coming off some major Achilles injury, just for something different.
Yeah, I just wonder on the health on John Wall, and when they're healthy, are they that good? But or are they the same caliber player? And I think absolutely. And John Wall was on his way to being a big star. I don't want to say superstar. He's not AD, LeBron, Kevin Durant, but to your point, probably in the realm of Westbrook. I think both these guys probably needed a new place to go. What is Washington now? Are they? I mean, with Westbrook, how does he fit in there? We're talking so much about Houston, and how does Wall play with James Harden. Bradley Beal and the Wizards, what are they? Are they a borderline contender? Or are they just another
they're a playoff team.
7-8 seed? Yeah,
I think they're a little bit better than that because Bradley Beal is fantastic. He's a phenomenal basketball player who plays better off the ball than James Harden does. So I think that fit makes more sense with Russ. And it's about like excelling at who you are. It's funny, we sit there, Ben Simmons is not a good shooter, and yet people are just screaming, he needs to shoot. You got to space the floor. You can't do this. And yet you have Russell Westbrook who's shooting a ton, not making any of those shots, and you just need to be like, Russ, stop shooting. That's not who you are. Just maximize who you are. And he's still a player that has enough athleticism to be explosive, to be a creator, attack the basket, rebound, be a pest defensively, and that should work well with Bradley Beal.
Yeah. All right. So NBA camps are opening. You're going to get preseason games here. It feels like they just crowned a champion yesterday, but you're going to get preseason games here quickly. Warriors have not opened. JJ, 48 positives were reported in the NBA as everybody tested upon reentry. It feels like a pretty big number for a league that bubbled so efficiently that when they were able to pull this thing off in Orlando, I think we were all sat around and were really impressed how well they did in regards to containing the virus. Now everybody got to go do their thing, and as they come back now, the Warriors can't open camp yet. They had to, but 48 feels like a big number to me.
It's about 8.8% of the players returning tested positive. Yeah, and it's what happens, man. You get outside of that bubble, and even if you're trying to be safe, things can happen. The Tom Izzo story, and watching that Michigan State game, he was sitting there going, I had no idea how I ended up testing positive. But if you're going around, even if it's, you think, a safe practice facility, these things can happen.
And that's where we are. So the league's going to have to deal with that. And it's now it's going to be different. The NBA and the NHL, which both did it so efficiently in their bubble, are now going to go into the world of travel. Now the plan is, JJ, home arenas, local municipalities making rules on crowds. And we just talked with Jerry about the California teams in college football. We may be looking at a place where the LA teams, Clippers and Lakers, and the Northern California teams, the Kings and the Warriors, may have to find a place to play if it continues to go where it is, because you're seeing San Diego State not being able to play night games because curfew. You saw San Jose State not being able to play at all. California is trending towards kind of where we've been for a long time, where they may, at least for a while, all of them have to go find somewhere else to play. And obviously that's going to alter things and change things up. And again, we're pretty soon we're going to say, well, it's 2021 as opposed to 2020, but it's life in COVIDia.
Yes, and it's a situation that I know when you look at the protocols in place, the testing that's being done, still don't get how all of a sudden everyone's safer in this situation if something can't happen, if after 10 o'clock, or if, you need the sports teams to go somewhere else. It's like they're doing more than anyone else. And yeah, it shows you how dangerous it still can be, given the fact they are being tested, have the protocols, and it still pops up. But that's the whole point of this, is to prevent an outbreak or spread to a large magnitude.
Yeah, I mean, the outbreak is already here, and so what they're trying to do is control it. The next few months are going to be interesting is not the word, although interesting kind of is the word. If you listen to some of these experts now who are really telling you this is as bad as it's been, the next 3 months are going to be the worst that we've seen, which is almost impossible to fathom, right? I mean, we've lost 270,000 people to this virus. And, but that's not as bad as it is. And then you're starting to see distribution plans in regards to the vaccine. Already in Great Britain, they've approved it, and they're moving on it. So you sit there and say, well, there's the light at the end of the tunnel. We're going to be okay soon. But then they're telling you, no, you're not, because the next few months are going to be the worst that you've seen. It's a really, really tough one to wrap your head around. And I said earlier, is it just going to get super dark before we see the light? And Brant said darkest before the light, Jeff. This is why if you think the high schools are going to be allowed to play February 1st, and after an ever-shrinking number of games, I have Swampland in Socorro to give away. It's from Brant. P.S. Did you say Micah has a new ride? Yeah, Micah got a new ride on Black Friday. He bought himself a nice. You want to tell him what you got? What'd you get? What'd you get? What'd you get?
2012 Honda Civic LX Coupe manual. So I'm whipping. Not many of us kids know how to drive manual these days, but I do.
For you kids who don't know what manual means, that's a stick shift. If you don't know what a stick shift means, it means you got to do more than just put it into drive. You got to use both feet, for crying out loud. JJ, the high school sports calendar came out. I don't know where they've got to go after this. She pushed everything back till February 1st. After that, and you see, baseball and stuff like that running into June now. I mean, mid to late June as far. So school's going to be out and they're still going to be playing games. They're out of runway at this point, right? I mean, if it doesn't go now, we're going to lose them.
And it's a discussion. I think everyone understands that it could potentially be a lost year. The frustration isn't going to change. The emotions of it are still raw and real. But if you're the NMAA, I think that's all you can do is just try to say, hey, this is when we want to play. This is when we want to go. Keep that option open for as long as you can for these high school athletes that they, like you've said it so many times, if they know exactly what's going on, but you do just say, hey, nope, not doing it, but then readdress it, or just try to say we're going to do what we can and try to get these games in. We're gonna try. Speaking of light at the end of the tunnel, like do that, or just say, nope, tunnel's closed, landslide.
Yeah. All right. 505-246-0610. Come on in. I want your thoughts on the bowl game stuff. Steelers Ravens yesterday. Did you watch it? I mean, was it even on your radar? Did you catch any of that? Also, JJ, let's get into maybe one of the greatest athletes. Not maybe. One of the greatest athletes ever to play at UNM, ever to compete at UNM, turned pro yesterday, and she's terrific. And I want to get into that a little bit, what it means to go pro in her game. Winnie Colati. That's next on the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 670 Sports Animal.
Introducing Project Shine. When you
Moreno extra pass, and Watson. Out with it, Gallegos, and he's gonna run all the way. Window, yes! Able to get out of it. How did he find Battle? It's to Cunningham, and it...
I mean, Ramos' hand. And
Ramos puts it up, beats the buzzer!
Boy, Jefferson wide open.
Jefferson to Daraji! Into Watson with the jam!
Another steal by Davina Lovato, and here comes Agbaiosi. Lob, two-hand hammer. You knew that was coming. The lob to Agbaiosi, the one-hand hammer.
Put up. And a drive from Parham.
It's another.
Opportunity here. Martinez shoots, he scores.
Cut into it. Had some nice looks at the rim. Win. Inside. They're not going to miss this one. Two-hand hammer for Murillo.
Ball's played up. Rodriguez with it. Gonna settle. Looks to the inside. Brings to the far side push. Shot on and goal. Deflected in. No.
Dorian's going to go all the way. It was blocked by the rim. Get it out, says Kobe Wade. Ramos. Got it. Look out. Ramos, can he chase it down? It was a freebie. Saved it. And then stolen. And somehow Hasbury's got it back. Handoff. Watson.
Get it stripped. Calion stripped him. Compiling the other way. Win up top to the big goal. Here he comes.
For the lead. Got it.
What a great game plan. Look at this.
Agbayosi throws it down.
Let's see if Melfi can cash it in. He's got some protection. Deep ball. Erickson's open. Touchdown, Monarchs.
Second and 10. Smith looking, and he's going to fire over the middle, and he's got his guy, and it's another big play. Walking away for a touchdown, Tristan Altier.
They're going to hand it off to Chavez. Chavez breaking tackles. Look out. Chavez up the sideline. Stays in bounds. Touchdown. Volcanovic.
That replay, I got you. Measurement. I mean, Smith's got a fire on first down, and he's on the outside. There's a lot of room for Brad Thomas. A move, and he's set free. Dance into the end zone. Touchdown. So it goes.
He'll run with it. Stumbling. Gets down into the end zone. They're looking to throw it. And he throws it in the end zone. Caught!
First and 10 from the 11. And spin move for Smith. Push the B button. Dance into the end zone.
So one of the best athletes ever to compete at UNM turned pro yesterday. And I think she's going to have a terrific professional career. It's the opening drive. Jeff Siembieda, JJ Buck. Micah's producing on the radio side. Jay Pohl and Josh back at ProView Networks. Wayne Kaladi is going pro, and JJ, with the uncertainty of everything that is this season for every athlete, and really at every level, she has been a tremendous distance runner. She signed with a professional team, Under Armour team, yesterday, and She's sensational. I mean, when you start talking about the great ones that have gone through the University of New Mexico, whether it's an Urlacher or a Mathis or whatever it is, Danny Granger, she's got to be right there at the top, doesn't she?
She does. The Lobos have had some amazing Olympic athletes in the other Olympic sports, and she is definitely at the top. And you talk about being able to sign a professional contract It's huge. And I know Joe Franklin and that team and her teammates are just ecstatic, but it just shows what this program is. It's a national championship program. Cross country, track and field has been really good as well. And it's cool to see, these moments. You don't want to take them for granted. Even if you might not be a huge track fan, huge cross country fan, that is such a positive for the UNM athletic department to have something like that happen.
Track and field and cross country, she had 13 All-America honors. She and now she's a pro. She gave up her final season of eligibility, which, again, who knows what's going to be of this season if there's going to be one. Signed with the Under Armour, and she'll join Under Armour's Dark Sky Distance team. She'll base out of Flagstaff and go on. It's a multi-year deal for a 24-year-old athlete who said she wants to represent, and she didn't provide the dollar amount, which is fine, and she'll make her debut this coming Saturday. She's going to go in the women's 10,000-meter race in Southern California. It's scheduled to be at, boy, they do anything in Southern California at almost 10 o'clock? Well, 10 o'clock here, 9 o'clock there. You mentioned Joe Franklin, who has put together a juggernaut with the cross country and track and field teams there. As good as there is in this country at what he does, and I don't know that he gets enough love. He won a national championship over there, and I get it. It's track and field, it's cross country. You don't get excited about it, but he is phenomenal at what he does, not only finding the talent, but developing talent once it gets on campus.
Oh, no question. The athletes that they get, the kind of people that are interested in the program, it's because they've been able to develop that success, and they're very successful student athletes at their particular disciplines. And I think that's what's huge about it too, is it's not just distance running, but we've seen the track and field athletes, the heptathlon? Heptathlon. Was it Katie Ferricks that ran that? And at a high level, Olympian, Olympic qualifier, just so many great things with that program.
Yeah. Her story is so good. And she says, I was just a little girl who had big dreams. And she's a girl from a country called Eritrea in East Africa. Couldn't find it on a map. I don't think you could either. She came to the United States in 2014. She was competing in a junior world championship. She stayed in the U.S. She missed her flight back to East Africa. She didn't tell her friends and her family. And now here she is, and she's going to go pro and make money and be an international athlete. And all the power to her, man. All the power to her. She represented the university well. She's a well-spoken young lady. She's obviously got incredible talent, and this is one to watch. But when you start talking about the great ones, in regards to athletes that came out of the University of New Mexico, I do believe that Wayne Kaladi's got to be near the top of the list. 13-time All-American national champion, and doing the things that she did. I just as good as there's ever been there. And congratulations to her, and best of luck to her as she goes on. JJ, I don't know. We're talking about football season, and we're talking about some sort of college basketball season. What do non-revenue sports look like? Is there a baseball season? Is there a track and field season? As we're starting to watch what's going on around the world, starting to watch as we continue to, I don't feel all that encouraged. Do you?
Can't say I have a high level of confidence in it. Plan is to play in the spring for those sports, but all you can do is take it day by day and see where you're at when you get there. Because in terms of knowing what it takes, all the plans are in place. Like, all right, if you need to test, this is the testing. Now, it's going to be a different conversation with those sports because who's paying for it? Is there going to be enough? Because football was like, all right, we're doing this for our television contract to then put it back into our athletic department to run everything. But the Mountain West stepped up and said, yeah, we're going to pay for testing during the Mountain West regular season. What does that look like for all the other sports? Here's
the reality of what you're looking at. You're looking at the reality of 2 seasons in a row lost. Baseball started out, they played 8-9 games last year, and then everything shut down. Right? Remember the track and field season, the indoor season, shut down right when they were ready to have the indoor national championships here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Shut it down. There was no outdoor season. There was no golf season. There was no softball season towards the end. You're looking at the reality of potentially, JJ, shutting down 2 straight seasons in a row. And again, I get it. It's a pandemic, and I'm not telling you it's more important than a pandemic. But what does that do to programs, to athletes, to logistics? Now, last year we were talking about, well, the seniors will get granted another year of eligibility. You shut down baseball again. Are you keeping 2 classes of seniors around? How are you handling that? And I'm not sure I've given it much thought. I'm going to guess they've given it thought at the level that it needs to be given thought. But start thinking about that for a second. You're granting 2 classes of seniors eligibility? You're giving 2 years back to all these student athletes?
No, well, it's going to be devastating for some programs. We've already seen over the past year a lot of the Olympic sports programs be canceled across the country. And then in terms of bringing 2 classes back, you can't do that. Like, there's schools that aren't even okay with bringing 1 class back, even if it's like 3 or 4 seniors.
Yeah. All right, 505-246-0610. Want to hear from you, 888-922-0610. Think about this. Someone may be watching your home. Someone might be watching your business, and if a criminal wants to break in, they notice when it is you come and when you go. Aaron Jones owns International Protective Service. It's IPS. It's a security company I've trusted for years to watch my home, to watch what's important to me. They patrol. I see them on a regular basis, just coming by the house every single day. When you can't be there, they've got highly trained armed officers who'll be the eyes protecting your home or your business. They got on-site guards with 24-hour patrols, and the bad guys then can't predict when the good times are to target you. If you're going out of town, you got a vacation coming up, it's a small trip, IPS will watch your house. Pick up the garbage, the newspapers, roll the garbage cans to the curb and back on garbage day. Just give your home a lived-in look. You need peace of mind. IPS can give that to you. Call them at 897-2420. That's 505-897-2420, or go to ipsglobal.com. They're committed to making Albuquerque a safer place to live and do business.
Welcome to the program.
The legend.
Let's see if Melfi can cash it in. He's got some protection. Deep ball. Erickson's open. Touchdown, Monarchs.
Second and 10. Smith looking, and he's going to fire over the middle, and he's got his guy, and it's another big play. Walking away for a touchdown, Tristan Altier.
They're going to hand it off to Chavez. Chavez breaking tackles. Look out. Chavez up the sideline. Stays in bounds. Touchdown. Volcanovic.
That replay to just get the measurement. I mean, Smith's got a fire on first down, and he's on the outside. There's a lot of room for Brad Thomas. A move, and he's set free. Dance into the end zone. Touchdown. So it goes.
He'll run with it. Stumbling. Gets down into the end zone. And looking to throw it. And he throws it in the end zone. Caught!
First and 10 from the 11. And spin move for Smith. Push the B button. Dance into the end zone.
He'll throw it. Looking. Here comes the rush. Stepping up. Pavia now running around. Being chased. Looks across. Throws it up and wide open. Ball is caught. Touchdown. Jimmy Guyett. Chavez dropping, looking, stepping up. He's going to run. He's got a lot of green in front of him. To the end zone. Touchdown. Rio Rancho, Isaiah Chavez. Chavez set. He's going to run with it again and dives and...
It's Austin Smith, and to the outside, a lot of room. Look out, a foot race down the sideline. All the away on the first play from scrimmage, Chris. That's a touchdown.
Scrambling. And great hit. He bounces off outside. Got some daylight at the 20, the 10, the 5. What an incredible run.
Ramos, rise and fire. He's fouled.
You know, he used to coach for Del Norte. And
Here's Voss all the way with the finish. He'll get the. Behind the back of the dribble. Tries to go up with the right hand. He changed hands in midair. And Hotman sent it away. Wynn doing a really good job denying Chavez. DC hasn't got the ball. Oh, Yeku. Oh. Working against Watson. Oh, look at the spin move.
Uh-oh. You see who they left in charge? You see this motley crew that is now in charge for the final 30 minutes of the opening drive. This is like global football. Fourth string, fifth string. You're like, how did we get here? I don't know, but here we are, and we're going to hopefully take it to the house.
Call us the Broncos.
Yeah, at least we're not quarterback list like that. We got 4 quarterbacks left on this.
We're like the Cowboys. We're like the Cowboys. We're down to our 4th string. I'm Ben. Yeah.
We got Ben DiNucci. We got Tyrod Taylor. Got Paxton Lynch over here. We're good to go on the opening drive. And speaking of quarterbacks, JJ Buck, Micah, Jay Pole, Josh, all in town. You know, it's bowl season, folks. It's going to happen. Jeff Siembieda. Very important stuff going on because the New Mexico Bowl is still being played, even though it's going to be in Texas this year. So you got work to do. But speaking of quarterbacks, yesterday, Isaiah Chavez, freshman from Rio Rancho High School, met with the media. So both available quarterbacks, Connor Janal, Isaiah Chavez, spoke to the local media this week. And it's one that situation no one thought they would be in, but here we are talking about 4th and 5th string quarterbacks for the Lobos. A game against Wyoming, hosting the Cowboys in Las Vegas, as they are the UNM Lobos, the New Mexico Lobos of Las Vegas, but the final 2 games will be played at Sam Boyd Stadium. But it's all about opportunities. And Isaiah Chavez, I asked him yesterday, I know pretty much most people, high school football fans, know watching Isaiah Chavez at Rio Rancho, but what is his game for the people? I'll probably get to see him if he has to take the field on Saturday. It's at Rio Rancho. Of course, he was a zone read quarterback, a lot of quarterback runs, which could actually work with some of the things the Lobos are doing this season. But I thought it was interesting just getting into the mind. He's a true freshman this year. And he said after the first practice, you immediately know it's something different, not just, the size and speed of all the players. But he said in high school football, he saw like 2 or 3 coverages, and it was very easy to diagnose. They're not necessarily throwing out 3-3-5 blitz schemes, trying to cover up a lot in college football. You know what it is? Kind of lineup, execution. You know who the best players are. You try to stop them. But it's one of the things I got a kick out of when I asked him that yesterday on the Zoom call. He said after his first practice, his brain hurt, just trying to diagnose the amount of coverages. And that's what it is, man. You take that step up, but it's not just the speed and athleticism of Division I football. It's seeing everything else that you probably didn't see. The high school football, it's like, all right, there's one safety, maybe a cover 2, and they're trying to disguise everything at the next level, what they're throwing in at you. And both these guys this week, I don't think either of them thought that they'd be addressing the media as Lobo quarterbacks potentially playing in a game. Of course, Connor Janal planning to be the starter, sophomore from California, and Isaiah Chavez, true freshman from Rio Rancho, was his backup this weekend. But, that's the reality of the situation. So I liked how both guys presented themselves. They were confident. They knew the task at hand. And that's all you can do right now is you can't be afraid. Danny Gonzalez says mistakes probably going to happen, but if you're afraid, it's going to be that bad of a day. And this is a Wyoming team that's pretty darn good. The spread is at 16 points right now. But this is the unknown and opportunity unlike any other. And you just hope that they find a way to survive. Because once you get down to your fifth string quarterback, there's not much left for you to do, right? It's just you go out there. It's about the effort. It's can we get through this? Because I, Micah, am not entirely sure what this offense is going to look like. Because they were struggling the last 2 games with Trey Hall. And now you're down to Connor Janal.
Mm-hmm. And a really good Wyoming defense. But, I mean, it's going to be difficult for these 2 guys, but ultimately this is how you find your future quarterback. I mean, if you're one of these 2 guys, you want to cement your place, and you don't want Danny to go out there and have to recruit a quarterback because you don't want to have to compete with another guy, in a couple years. If you're Janal or Chavez, and you're these young guys, you don't want to have them go out and recruit their future guy. You want to be that future guy, and this is the time for them to step up now.
They're going to have to bring guys in anyway, but can you find something unexpected? Can you get maybe depth for the future out of one of these guys, whether it's Connor Janal, Isaiah Chavez? We shall see. Unknown opportunity, but the 2 guys atop the depth chart this week talking to the media. Here we are. Here we are, Jeff. Here we are.
Here we are. Where are you talking about the top of the depth chart? I just got back in.
Mm-hmm. It was more of the unexpected, right? These Connor Janal and Isaiah Chavez the last 2 days on the Zoom press conferences. Not the dudes that you thought we'd be talking to this season about playing quarterback for the Lobos, but they're confident guys. And like Isaiah Chavez yesterday, he's like, I did not think I'd be here at all, but here we are, and he's essentially 1 play away from taking the field, a true freshman from Rio Rancho. And the focus has been entirely different. It's like Connor Janal, he said, I was on the scout team up until like a couple weeks ago, and even just watching practice is a whole different feeling, let alone taking snaps as a first-string quarterback in a Division I football game against a relentless and very good Wyoming football team.
So if I'd have said to you at the beginning of the season, all right, so this is going to be the first week in December, which of these will happen? Connor Janal and Isaiah Chavez will be your 2 quarterbacks going into level football, or game day would be a Coastal Carolina for Coastal Carolina Liberty. Which would you have said was less likely?
Less likely at that point in time, I probably would have went to game day.
Yeah. Yeah, you just said anything's possible with Lobo quarterbacks. I mean, all right, these 2 guys are quarterbacks. Like, I've watched it over the last bunch of years. This is what we deal with, man. I'm watching Coastal Carolina and Liberty on game day, and now it's BYU because, they changed it out on Thursday to play a Saturday game. I'm watching Connor Janal and Isaiah Chavez on my Zoom press conferences. This is our world, man. It's either adapt or don't. But that's what we are now. I guess I'm surprised by so little anymore. You know what I mean? Just
absolutely.
What's supposed to surprise me?
You got to be ready for anything, and then when it happens, you're like, well, that's what happens this year. But I worry about that offense, how much it struggled with Trey Hall in there, and now knowing that Wyoming doesn't, they can play man-to-man across the board. They can bring their safeties into the box, pretty much put them at the line of scrimmage and say, all right, y'all think you can throw the football? Have fun. You ain't moving the football today.
No, I'm worried about this game. Honestly, as a guy who wants to see continued progress, as a guy who's pulling for this coaching staff who saw progress, I'm worried about this because I think, to your point, that's a good veteran defense on the other side. You're running out a guy making his first start backed up by a guy who didn't figure he'd maybe ever play, let alone this week. I'm certainly concerned about this week because I think Wyoming's pretty good. And whether the Lobos are good or not, I just don't know what to expect. Now, I will give you this. the little bit we saw of Connor Janal on Thursday night last week in Logan was probably better than I thought we'd see. Like when that guy 16's coming in, that guy that's always on the sideline, tapping Tavaka on the shoulder or Trey Hall or greeting him when he comes off the field, who I probably didn't know who he was before that, played a lot better than I thought. And now maybe with a week of practice, JJ, I don't know. I mean, do I have too high expectations that he's going to go out and that offense is going to move?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe I do. Maybe I do.
It's one, and I think what you said yesterday about this Lobo season, it kind of happened in reverse.
Yeah.
What we saw the first 3 games against better opponents, we're like, okay, this is the effort, just the step forward. You know that there's still plenty of holes in this team with this roster overall, but you're feeling pretty good. And then you get to a stretch, Air Force, then Utah State, where you're thinking, all right, these should be comparable teams. Like, this should be better. And you played, the offense could do nothing against Air Force. You saw what happened in the third quarter against Utah State. And now you're going against a Wyoming team that feels like it's a step above the last 2 that you played with your 4th-string quarterback. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. All right. I got a bunch of emails that I can still get to you. 505-246-0610 if you want to get in. We're going to talk NFL, Lobo basketball, and local baseball. All when we return on ProView Networks. The opening drive's on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the sports animal.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth that's real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network. Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Plays it across the box off the dasher. It's settled. Shot on by Garcia. Trickles in. Goal.
Chavez blocked at the rim. And here's Dorian Lewis to Watson.
Shot on and just wide. Big deflection. Goal.
Over this first field goal. Look at that. That's gorgeous.
Not a game you can go have 25 turnovers in and win.
that out of here. Watson says, here comes Hodnett all the way. He's blocked in return. Dickey, did he get it off? He did, and he hit it. They're really Oliveras. Wild three, and it hit.
Another steal nearly by Hidon. It is a steal. Avalos ahead to Hidon. The two-hand hammer by Hidon. I knew he was going to put that one down.
ProView Networks tonight.
District matchup there.
Davidson took it away in transition. Might be time for a jam. Yes.
Oh!
Nick Barton, watch him, coach. Watch the inbounder.
Dumas Sanchez in the corner.
Back to Barton with 2.4 seconds left. Fires for the win.
And he got it!
It's good.
Oh my God!
On the last second shot.
He did!
Oh
Oh my God!
Bakes it in from 25 feet and watch the celebration right in front of us. What a shot by Barton. He was double teamed and somehow found a way to get it in. Ramos to Gaxiola, high window for the win. It's good. It counts. Gaxiola with the game winner for a Driscoll Heritage.
The New Mexico High School Coaches Association, established in 1941, is an organization of New Mexico's best and most professional interscholastic coaches. Coaches across work daily to help our student athletes excel in the classroom, on the field of play, and in our communities. Students that participate in interscholastic activities attain higher grades, higher graduation rates, and higher wages. Responsible for the North-South All-Star Games, statewide Coaches Award Program, and providing multiple professional development opportunities for New Mexico's coaches. Be a great coach by coaching beyond the game.
Funky week in the NFL, certainly. No Thursday night game today. You did get Wednesday afternoon football. You'll get a couple of Monday nights next week. So we don't have football for you here on the Sports Animal tonight. But that's, again, it's just the way it is. You did have football yesterday. The Steelers beat the Ravens 19-14. Terry says Roger Goodell on halftime of yesterday's game, which had one team missing half of their starters, was asked if the league was considering a bubble for the playoffs. He said with a straight face that no bubble was needed because the protocols are working well. What? Earned his millions there. When the Steelers were just lying on the pile on the goal line play at the end of the first half, where was Ed Hockley to just toss the lineman back on their side of the line of scrimmage? It's from Terry. Goodell said it's working well. Is it working well, JJ? I think it's working. I don't know if it's working well. I mean, they're getting through the season.
Well, it's working to the point of they don't believe that the games themselves are dangerous in terms of transmission and what's going on. So the whole point is, you have these tests, you put players on the reserve list and keep moving forward.
Okay. Yeah, we're getting games in. I'm getting my TV money. We're moving. I imagine. Jason's in on basketball. It says time to stir it up. Good morning, OD. Lobo basketball was supposed to open today, but instead we'll have a spirited practice. Lobo fan and even Lobo dislikers are wondering what gives as the Lobo slate to date have no non-conference games. So I will present a theory. Lobo Hoops, and I'm not saying anything the 3-year record is not reflective, is a mediocre product, which does them no favors when it comes to scheduling under normal circumstances. A loss to UNM drops a team at least 2 lines in seeding, or is a bad loss section of a bubble team's resume. The hope for teams is that UNM will pick off a high net ranked team during the conference season, which might make a loss a palatable one to the committee. This year, with no pit games and a historically bad road winning percentage, what program wants to take that chance that Lobo basketball could provide any pop to their net ranking? I think what we may be seeing is the perception of Lobo hoops in the basketball community, coaches and ADs, is much different than what people in this market believe is the perception. I'm seeing programs playing D2s, NAIAs, so games are out there, and I wonder why is UNM not playing? Perhaps perception. We are UNM, we can't play them. Or reality, they are UNM, what have they done lately? Either way, the fan base. And why do you think there's no games in the Lobo slate? I don't know that that's I'm not sure that I buy into, and Jason I usually think has really valid points. I'm just not sure I buy into that theory.
When it comes to maybe some of the power games, possibly, but in terms of playing anyone, it doesn't hold water. Like an NAIA school or D2, whatever it may be, is not going to be like, oh, I don't want to play New Mexico. Why would I play New Mexico?
Right. Yeah, that's my feel. I just don't know that they, who they're going to play. I think they've got. You'll see some games, and I thought they were going to play Sunday. I still think they may, but I think you're going to see something here pretty quick. They're not getting Arizona, I don't think, but who knows in this year, right? I mean, you could say, hey, we're playing BYU tomorrow. I just threw something out at you. Like I don't know. Is Lobo fan getting antsy, or is it out of sight, out of mind? Do you think Lobo basketball fan is almost expecting, yeah, whatever? Like out of sight, out of mind. Everybody, I watched Gonzaga play last night, and Texas play last night, and West Virginia play last night, and San Francisco and Nevada. All right, New Mexico just isn't playing. New Mexico State played in some little gyms last week. They're playing Arizona next week. Like, where's Lobo fan? I haven't heard Lobo fan at all.
I think a lot of it is, while you might not like it, you understand the reason for it. Even if you don't agree with the decision that had to push all the teams out of the state, you know it. So I think that it doesn't make it easier, but I think people knowing that's why nothing is going on and it has us where we are.
Yeah, I think, no. But you're watching the Aggies play. They got pushed out of the state, right?
And I think it's just this 2-week number, right? That Paul Weir wanted to hold to, and especially when they pushed the conference games back, you weren't going to see them take the floor until Sunday, because then they'd be like, wait a second, y'all said you couldn't play to start conference play, and yet you're playing right now?
Yeah, I think that's a big piece of it. I don't think you could have gone to the league and say, hey, medically, our doctors say we can't play without 2 full weeks or whatever. We can't play Boise State on Thursday and Saturday. And then all of a sudden you're playing Panhandle somebody in that window. I think that's the big part of it. Born's in silent running, he says. Jeff, Albuquerque's baseball team released their schedule for 2020 back on October 10th. Haven't heard a peep about the 2021 season. Oh, October 10th, 2019. Forget about Lobo baseball. Are we going to see local games at the AAA level this year?
I don't know.
I don't know how you think you're going to see a game in March. I know I told you I don't know a lot over the last 8 months, but I don't know. Rudy, good morning. You're on the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. Good day, sir.
Good morning. Oh, Lobo fans out there, Jason, take it easy. I know you're so jealous of the New Mexico program that you can't help yourself and you have to knock it every chance you get. And so when people do that, that just tells me how obsessed they are. The reason they haven't played is they haven't had enough practices. And the reason they haven't had enough practices is because of the governor, not because UNM is irrelevant. Geez, when people start that, that's almost as dumb as Herb Street suggesting that Michigan's waving the white flag. And
how'd you feel about that?
Response by Ward Manuel.
Yeah, how'd you feel about that? Because Herbie took to Twitter and apologized and the whole thing, but that was something, wasn't it?
There are words for him that cannot be said on the air. But let me just put it this way. Once again, there's an Ohio State Buckeye proving that his degree is worthless. Use your brain, engage your brain with your mouth before you do that. That guy has a national platform for that, and he just comes across as so petty and so hateful and so jealous that Michigan is the winningest football program in Division I of all time. So
I'm not sure that's how I
you got
heard
to
that.
take it for what it is, but I just think people like that really show their true bias, and that's not what you're supposed to be if you're a sports journalist. You're supposed to be out there commenting fairly on everybody. And by the way, don't look now, but you can pick Michigan 6th, but I'm watching that team, and you know what? Juwan Howard knows how to put a team together. The guy didn't spend, 19 years in the NBA without learning a few things, and I think Michigan's the dark horse in that Big Ten, but boy, is that a stacked Big Ten conference. That's probably the best basketball conference.
All right, we'll get into that tomorrow because we're going to run out of time. Thanks, Rudy.
Yeah.
No, hey, JJ, what did you think? Kirk Herbstreit, for those of you who didn't hear, went on and basically suggested that Ohio State could come down with COVID. Michigan could to dodge Ohio State, that they didn't want to play, they didn't want to get embarrassed, and then he came back and backpedaled and really just said, "I'm sorry. I have no evidence for that."
1 minute.
I think that's a bad take. If you want to say that they're a bad football team and it looks like they're waving the white flag on the football field, I'll listen to that because it sure looked like it at times. But dodging anyone, no. It goes back to Dabo Swinney trying to do the same thing with Florida State. No, they're not dodging you. They're just not good.
Jim Rome Show is next, and Patrick Show's after that. Sports Bar this afternoon at 3. Do you have Lobo Talk on today? Is that on your schedule today too? Is that today?
Yeah.
Yeah, at 5 o'clock?
Yep.
5 o'clock. And we'll be back tomorrow morning with award-winning radio at 7 a.m. J. Pole, Josh, good job. Micah, great job as always. JJ, enjoy the day.
Have a day, y'all.
We'll see you tomorrow morning. Be good to each other. Be kind, loving, caring, and sharing. Good day now.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales.